Detroit Red Wing Hockey is brought to you by your AMC and Jeep dealers, home of the AMC Concord, Pacer, Spirit, and Jeep vehicles. And by Labatt's. For beer at its finest, call for Labatt's. And by Bank of the Commonwealth, trying hardest to help. And by Little Caesars, a winner any way you slice it.
So, hi again, everybody. Bruce Martin along with Sid Abel with you from here at Maple Leaf Gardens, Toronto. The Detroit Red Wings, who were going no place, and still, I guess they're not going to the playoffs, Sid Abel, have been one of the more exciting teams in the National Hockey League in recent games. So tonight, they meet a team that has to win.
Well, this is one thing about Detroit. They've come on so strong, Bruce, in the last 3 weeks. The fact that Jimmy Rutherford is playing well, the team seems to have strengthened their entire outlook at the game. Toronto have to win because they are looking at second spot, hoping to catch Buffalo. The Wings could be spoilers again here tonight, but injuries may take their toll as far as the Wings are concerned.
Well, we keep repeating it, at least to have in recent games. The Red Wings, after winning a couple in the first few games of the season, win 23 games without a win. Now, in the last 7 or 8 games, they have won 5 and tied another, and that isn't all bad. What they're going to do tonight? Well, we'll be back to discuss that just a little further after we pause for this.
Dreams fly by on a blue winter sky. Let the feelings surround you. Dreams come along. This is where you belong. Let the feelings surround you. Take a while and share a smile. Snowy in blue. This magic winter moon.
Sid, when we talk about the great old buildings of the National Hockey League, we talk about the Olympia Stadium in Detroit, certainly in Chicago and Boston and Montreal, and right here, right among the very top of them, Maple Leaf Gardens, Toronto. A place that's always packed, and yet it's a place in all the seasons I've been around Detroit hockey. It's been a tough place for Detroit to win hockey games.
Well, we were talking about that before coming up to the booth tonight, and I don't know, there's something about this building, the fact that possibly most of the players are from Canada, their parents and their relatives are all here, and for some reason or other, the Red Wings have not played well here in Maple Leaf Gardens. They play fairly well, but usually come out on the losing end of the score, and it's just something that I can go way back to my days, Bruce, with the late Jack Adams as our coach. We always had problems winning here, and I mentioned tonight, talking to the Toronto announcers, that I felt that this was the ice, probably the worst ice in the National Hockey League, because it breaks away from you. It's awful brittle, and when you go to turn, it seems to chip away, and you just don't seem to feel at home playing here in Maple Leaf Gardens.
Well, I think there's another aspect of Maple Leaf Gardens, too, and Gordie Howe is the one that, and I'm going back a few years, too, who pointed out and said he did not like to play here in Toronto, but he said it was mostly because of the crowd. That they sat back and studied the game.
Yes, they're not, as a rule, they're not boisterous at all. They sit back. They're supposed to be a good crowd, but I like it when the team crowd gets behind you, like in the Olympia. They just bring the best out of a hockey team.
Well, this is only the third meeting, believe it or not, between these two teams, and yet the Red Wings, including tonight's game, have only 10 remaining on the season. But the Red Wings have lost the 2 previous games, put up a good game, was tied 2-2 here late in the hockey game, and Walt McKechnie scored that goal. The first time the two teams played back in December, and then the teams played the latter part of the month of February in Detroit, and Toronto skated off with a 6-2 victory. But that was before what you could almost call the Jimmy Rutherford era, the last 10 games in which the Wings have really come to the front.
The Wings are playing well. They're playing with confidence. I expect them to play a real good hockey game here tonight.
Well, it's one that we're looking forward to and hoping you are too and are going to enjoy it. We'll be back with the opening face-off after we pause now for this.
Rough to rain ahead. Last year, we never could have made it. We had a conventional two-wheel drive wagon. Now we've got a four-wheel drive Jeep Cherokee, and anything's possible.
The road's pretty squishy up ahead.
This would have bogged down our two-wheel drive wagon. But my Cherokee's equipped with Jeep's quadric track, proving the automatic four-wheel drive with the best traction.
Hey, Dad, can we make it up there?
Billy, our Cherokee can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe your next wagon should be a Jeep Cherokee.
We wrote the book on four-wheel drive.
What do you get with your interest from most banks when you deposit money?
Next.
What do you get with your interest when you deposit money in Bank of the Commonwealth?
I got a piano.
I got a piano.
I got these tools. I got a watch.
At Bank of the Commonwealth, when you deposit as little as $1,000 in a 7-year, 7% time certificate, you'll not only earn big interest, but also a big bonus, some bigger than others.
Trying hardest to help. That's the Bank of the Commonwealth.
Little Caesar's Pizza, nobody loves it like a kid from 2 weeks. Nobody loves it like Little Caesar's Pizza. Nobody loves it like my favorite treat. Nobody loves it like I do, like I do. Little Caesar's Pizza.
See your local TV book for a free pizza coupon.
I read the Detroit News Sports section because I want to know what's going on. The champ better be reading the classified because he's going to be looking for a job.
And back we are here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. You take a look now at the three officials for the hockey game. Bruce Hood is at the center there, the referee, Leon Stickle, Kevin Collins. There's Jimmy Rutherford, who is starting his 10th straight game, and he has had a fine last 11, actually. And Mike Palmatier, who is also starting his 10th in a row for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And he probably, as much as anybody else in this hockey club, the most valuable player for Toronto. The Red Wings have a rather extended injury list all of a sudden. Billy Hogebaum and Dennis Polonich were injured in the game played last night against the Chicago Blackhawks, or late yesterday afternoon. Last night I got myself all mixed up here so far as dates are concerned, as this hockey game is underway. And down the ice, getting into the corner, Lanny McDonald. He was checked, and J.P. LeBlanc back of his own goal, and the Wings move out. The pass coming out center ice for Perry Miller. Miller is up on a left wing. Matter of fact, Reed Larson's on the right side with J.P. LeBlanc at center ice. There's a long shot by McDonald wide of the Detroit goal. That's Darryl Sittler, he and Anderson on the line. J.P. LeBlanc pulled away from McDonald's check. From center ice with a shot. Paul Matier deflects that to the corner. Here's Willie Huber. Now Huber put it out in front. It came back to Huber. He took a backhander that's knocked away. And coming out with it, number 2, Ian Turnbull. Turnbull clearing ahead to Sittler over the line into the Detroit zone. Dropped the pass right there. That's Borje Salming holding it in. Tommy Bergman took a swipe at it. The Wings have 4 defensemen on the ice, along with J.P. LeBlanc. And they've called up a couple of defensemen from Kansas City. Now the play is deep in the Detroit end. This is Willie Huber playing it into the corner, going in after it, Tommy Bergman. Long pass on the right side. Reed Larson tipped it into the Toronto end. He's checked by Turnbull and Salming. Played it along the boards on the left side for Anderson. He lost it. A shot by Sam Leroy. He was open but fired it wide. Wings will move back into their own zone as Jean Hamel in after it. The Wings, of course, coming in off 4 straight victories. 2 of them over the Chicago Blackhawks, including last night's 5-3 victory. But in that game, Billy Hogebaum pulled up with a hip pointer, and Dennis Polonich had strained muscles right around the hip. The play off to the side of the Toronto net, but there's going to be a Maple Leaf penalty a hooking call, and Detroit is going to have the first power play chance of the game. We'll be back to watch it after we pause now for this.
Let the spirit move you. Let the spirit move you.
There's a new excitement in small cars. AMC's new Spirit DL.
Let the spirit move you. Let the spirit move you.
Sporty looks, corduroy bucket seats, and a sleek instrument panel. American Motors has the Spirit.
Let the spirit move you.
See all the new AMC cars for $79 at your Metro Detroit AMC dealers.
Errol Thompson picks up a loose puck deep in the zone, pulled down by Dan Maloney. Just when he was getting in position to take a backhand shot, Maloney gets the first penalty of the game.
He's off for hooking in 1:43 of this first period. So Detroit with a power play chance. That's San Laurent putting it out in front. Jones failed to work it out. It'll be kept in by Dale McCourt. And McCourt put it right on a stick of Salming, who rolls it down the ice. Back after it, Netamansky, and it's knocked away from him by Jimmy Rutherford. This is San Laurent turning away from Jim Jones' check, handing it off to Dale McCourt. Ahead now to Netamansky. Now Big Ned, 36 goals on the season, played it back to McCourt. He failed to get through. Going in after it, Errol Thompson off the side of the net, McCourt. It comes back now, a chance for Willie Huber. Huber hands it back to Dale McCourt, back to Huber. Willie Huber at the right point. Playing it now to Netamansky and back to Huber. Huber giving it now to McCourt. It tipped away from him. Going after it, Burrows. He's bumped, but it'll come up to Jones. Jones is just going to hold it there. It came loose, though, and cleared down the ice. And the Wings had complete control, but didn't elect to take a shot. Netamansky turning out in front of Rutherford with 55 seconds left in the penalty. Puck tipped to the Toronto blue line and sent right back into the Detroit zone. Netamansky turns in behind his own net again. Moved away from Walt McKechnie's check, sends it out center ice to LeBlanc. JP carries into the Toronto zone, being checked by Salming. Salming moved in, took it away, then he returned it to JP LeBlanc, but his centering pass didn't come through, and McKechnie shoots it down the ice, and the Wings haven't really come close to a shot. That's Ron Ellis dumping it in behind the Detroit goal. Rutherford sends it on the right side for Bolduc. Bolduc played it in behind the net again, and Paul Woods is after it there. Nick Libet and Greg Jolly still out of the Detroit lineup, both on the injured list. Now Woods carried to the Toronto line, checked by McKechnie. 5 seconds left in the penalty, and the puck driven back into the Detroit zone. That'll lead up to penalty time, and Maloney is back out. Bolduc on the right side to J.P. LeBlanc, back to Danny Bolduc. Here's Bolduc trying to move through, and he just about did. Play broken up, and Turnbull shoots it to the line. Reed Larson held it in, put it right out in front. Oh, and right there was Danny Bolduc took a stick right across the face from Tiger Williams. Here's Williams going in for it with a shot right on. Bolduc is up now. Play goes in behind the Detroit goal. Referee Hood going the other way, and Dave Williams' stick caught Bolduc right across the face. Here now, Reed Larson. He lost it to Lanny McDonald. Rutherford out of the goal, cleared it on the left side. J.P. LeBlanc. It came back to the line. That shot fired by Hutchinson wide of the goal, and they've whistled the play down on the offside. Super 6 Tire Centers brings you moments to remember. In the longest game in Stanley Cup history, Detroit beat Montreal Maroons 1-0. A goal by Mud Bruneto after 176 minutes, 30 seconds of playing time. The game started the night of March 24th, continued into the early morning of March 25th, 1936. Who was the Detroit goalkeeper, and earning the shutout? How many saves did he make? I was a little worried about Bolduc for a moment there. So.
Yes, he got hit in the side of the face. He wears a helmet, and I think possibly the helmet took most of the blow. He had a golden opportunity to score the goal, but he didn't realize that Palmatier come way out of his net. He was more or less had his back to the goal, and Palmatier come out and made a play on him before he got a chance to take a shot.
Now the two fellows who started on the wings in the hockey game are back on defense, Reed Larson and Perry Miller. This is Greg Carroll moving over the line again. He was checked. Bolduc when digging after the loose puck. That's Dave Hutchinson, who kicked it out to center ice. Tipped back into the Detroit end with Larson going back after it. Now Larson's pass. Carroll clearing it over on the left side. This is Steve Short, a newcomer in his first appearance in the Detroit uniform. Have a little more opportunity to talk about him in a second or two. Back after it now, Reed Larson. He cleared it to Paul Woods. Woods pulling up, being checked by Boutette. Paul Woods clearing it to Greg Carroll now. Carroll moving away from his check. Here's Carroll. Carroll playing it back to Reed Larson. He sets up Short with a shot right on. And Paul Matier had to come through with a big save as Steve Short came close. And Toronto this time will clear it the length of the ice. There'll be an icing call on the play back into the Toronto end. And we'll be back with more after we pause now for this message.
It's special.
That looks really nice and cool.
It's special. Taste the best special time.
Looks refreshing.
Special.
I can tell you, it's got a Labatt's taste.
Yeah.
And it's a real Canadian taste.
Has it got body?
That's it. It's got body.
It's special. Taste the best special time.
And yet it has less than 99 calories in a bottle.
It's special. Taste the best special time.
No score in the hockey game. We have played, as you see, 5 minutes, 28 seconds of the first period. Andre Saint Laurent. Big John Hillworth is up on the right wing on the line now with Errol Thompson over on the left side. Play sent around on the right side to Lanny McDonald, broken up by Jean Hamel. But coming out with it now, moving at center ice, Sittler. Playing it to Anderson, back to Sittler with a shot wide. That's Lanny McDonald. He's tipped away from him by Thompson. Saint Laurent hands it off to Hamel. He and Hillworth. Here's Hillworth over the line, pulling up. He played it in toward the corner, off to the side of the goal. Salming cleared it now to Anderson. Hillworth chasing him back into the corner. Andre Saint Laurent will take it on the opposite side, tried to center it, but McDonald moved in and took it away. Now Lanny McDonald and Sittler. That's Sittler back to McDonald. He fired the shot, and Rutherford reaches up and grabs that and drops it off for Hamel. Hillworth. John Hillworth's pass tipped behind Errol Thompson. Here's Lanny McDonald. Back it comes to Salming. Salming clearing it behind the net. McDonald goes in after it. He's being checked there by Harper. They take the puck in along the boards, hold it. Still no whistle. And it's finally cleared out down the ice by the wing Saint Laurent. That'll go far enough for an icing call, and the play will come back into the Detroit end. For hockey fans, now would be an ideal time to treat yourself to a refreshing Vernors. Whatever you do, don't get caught with your Vernors down.
Coach Roger Nielsen behind the Toronto bench, fired and then rehired back about 10 days, 2 weeks ago. Club rallied when he came back, won 5 straight, then turned around and lost a couple. But
they've lost 3 of their last 4 after that big rally. Sid, the Red Wings moved down into the Kansas City farm team as you look at Jimmy Rutherford and brought up 2 very solid defensemen. I speak of Steve Short, who had a great scoring opportunity a little while ago, and John Hillworth, but Hillworth was out there playing the right side. Boutette fell down just as he was winding up to shoot. Here's McCord and LeBratton. The pass broken up right at the line, goes in offside.
Well, Steve Short is an American boy that was drafted by Philadelphia, traded to Los Angeles, played a few games for L.A., and has been down in the minors. He turned pro 2 or 3 years ago. He's got a little experience. He's played 5 games for L.A. in the National League, so this is nothing new to him. And he had an excellent chance to score a goal on his very first shift on the ice.
Far away, Paul Matier's toughest save. Now from the face-off, McCourt won the draw. Tommy Bergman dumping it deep into the Toronto zone. Ian Turnbull turning in behind Paul Matier. That's Quenneville, the other defenseman. It comes back to Turnbull. Knocked away by McCourt, so Quenneville will try it. No score, and we've played now just a little more than 7 minutes of the first period. Long left side pass to Pat Boutette. Boutette carried into the Detroit zone, dumped it off to the side of the net. Rutherford fanned on it, and it's sent to the side. Going after it, Boutette. Playing it back to Turnbull, who fired that shot and hit Jones with it. Another shot by Boutette went wide. Here's Jones digging it out of the corner. Sets up Boutette with another shot, and that went way wide. In behind the net, Butler and LeBratton. Butler bangs LeBratton. He's going to get a penalty. He'll go off for elbowing on the delayed call. Tommy Bergman cleared it off Willie Huber. Here's Huber. He tipped it away from Boutette. Clearing out center ice. Now the Wings are 3 on 1. Over the line, Saint Laurent. Back for Dale McCord, and he was checked by Turnbull. Oh, the Wings had a great opportunity, and now the penalty is called. And the Red Wings are going to have another power play chance as Butler will go off, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I own this place. But tonight, no more work. Tonight is celebration, because tomorrow I go back to Greece. You know how? Because my friends at Bank of the Commonwealth, they helped me to start this place when other banks do not. Now, I go back to Greece, and my cousins, they think I am big shot. I am not big shot, but at Bank of the Commonwealth, they treat me like a big shot.
Big shot.
Trying hardest to help. That's the Bank of the Commonwealth.
Danny LeBratton, who has come on so strong for the Wings in the past 8 or 9 games, is checked along the boards, but Butler gets his elbow right up in the side of his head and winds up getting a penalty. Gives the Wings another opportunity to see if they can get their power play going.
Nedemansky is on the right side with McCord at center and Errol Thompson on the left wing now, with Barry Miller and Reed Larson back along the defense. McKechnie won the draw. It comes out center ice. Dan Maloney and McKechnie, the two forwards up front on the penalty-killing unit, and finally, Maloney took it away from Miller, and it's fired back down the ice. Borje Salming. Now Salming clearing it back to Maloney. He tips it ahead to McKechnie. McKechnie given a bump by Perry Miller. Maloney has the puck, and Salming is coming up with him. But Nedemansky moved in to take it away from Dan Maloney. Wings have the extra man for still a minute and a half. Now here's Errol Thompson over the line. The former Maple Leaf player goes off to the side of the net. He left it there, picked it up. He's dumped by Salming. And now it's Toronto sending 3 men down. But Salming's going to turn it back into his own zone. Now shoot it down the ice. Barry Miller has it, and the Wings now with 2 back-to-back power plays have not threatened on either of the two. They have still a minute to go in this one. Dale McCord bringing his way out now to center ice. Over on the right side, that's Reed Larson around McKechnie with a shot. He scores! Reed Larson gets his 17th goal on the season, and the Red Wings a 1-0 lead, and the 73rd power play goal since.
And goaltenders don't stop shots like this, right from deep in the circle, high up in the corner. It was just like out of a cannon, and Reed Larson's playing a hot hand now. 17th goal, as Bruce mentioned. He scored 2 against Chicago, both empty net. This was a perfect pass over to Larson on the outside. He's into the circle, and he fires, and he beats Palmadeer up high on his gloved hand. I don't think there's a goaltender in the National League would have stopped that puck. It was probably going 100 miles an hour.
You know, last season in his rookie year, Reed Larson scored a record 60 points. That's the most points a Red Wing defenseman has ever scored, and he has just tied it now with that goal. And his 17th goal of the year. McCord and Miller draw the assist. Here now, Boutet moving in. He chipped the side of the net. Boutet dug it out of the corner. Big chance, back to Turnbull. Turnbull's shot went wide. Over along the boards on the left side, Boutet and LeBratton bump. That's San Laurent getting into it. It was cleared back to the line, though. Dave Hutchinson turns with a shot that's deflected wide. Taken off the boards, Turnbull. Turnbull takes it into the corner. In behind the net, put it right through the goal mouth. Now it's in along the boards. Williams was checked right there by Hillworth. And Harper gets into it. They hold it. There'll be a face-off, the rim of the circle to the right of the Detroit goal. And with the score 1-0 Detroit, we'll be back in just a moment.
Hey, y'all. Gratiot Auto Supply is having a truckload tire and wheel sale. Let's unload them, guys.
Now, 4-ply poly white wall tires are just $98. White wagon wheels are as low as $27.95, and sand grabber tires are as low as $41.95.
And now you can save up to $20 more because Gratiot will mount your tires and wheels free. High-speed balancing is also available, too. Come on down to Gratiot's truckload tire and wheel sale. You'll save big. Pass it on.
Dale McCourt made a perfect pass to Larson, just deep along the boards. He evaded McKechnie, went around, got into the circle from a bad angle, and really fired one up into the corner.
Bobby Crom is John Hillworth out on the right wing, and the left wing for Toronto. A fellow named Davey Williams, who last time out there really caught Bolduc. Puck went into the Toronto end offside, so the face-off stays just inside the Maple Leaf blue line. San Laurent in against Paul Gardner. Gardner won the draw, and the puck shot down the ice. Heading back after it, this is a look at Steve Short, who's wearing number 26, playing his first game in a Red Wing uniform. He played 5 games for Los Angeles Kings, National Hockey League, prior to this one. Play came back out center ice. Turnbull handing it off to Hutchinson. Dave Hutchinson clearing it back into the Detroit zone. John Hamel goes in after it. Now Hamel given a bump back to the net by Williams. Hamel lost his stick, kicked it into the corner. It'll be taken by Boutet. Puck came out in front, but picking it up was Short. Now Steve Short moving it out center ice. His pass just too far for Saint Laurent. That's Gardner clearing it back into the Detroit zone. Going into the corner after it, Boutet. Here's Pat Boutet right out in front. And it was Gardner who was there and shot it high and wide. And now the Wings come down 2-on-1. Saint Laurent coming back quickly, Hutchinson. Saint Laurent went around. Hutchinson, a backhand shot. Paul Matier grabs it and holds on. The face-off stays in the Toronto end. And now out in front of the net, that's Hillworth. And he is going at it
I think
with Hutchinson.
Two big fellows right there.
Hutchinson trying to get the right hand loose. And John Hillworth got one arm loose, too. Two of them doing more tugging and grabbing than anything else right now, so the two linesmen move in. But they'll have their hands full because, as you say, these are two big guys.
And this is something that Detroit needed, not a fight, but Detroit needed some size. Here in Hutchinson is really bleeding up above his right eye. But Detroit needed size coming here into Toronto. They have the injuries. Dennis Polonich is a real tough little fellow that leads the club in penalties, but when you meet fellows like Hutchinson's going in for repairs because he is cut above his right eye. He's going in for stitches. John Hillworth's going in, so possibly he is cut too.
I didn't see the whole thing start, but they're both going off for repairs, and while they do, we'll pause for this message.
Ah, the endless possibilities of Peschke meats and your imagination. Imagine a new way to enjoy that summertime standby, Peschke hot dogs. Prepare them your favorite way. Add bits of green pepper or whatever you like to your favorite kind of melted American processed cheese and pour. Your imagination makes it possible. Peschke makes it perfect.
Peschke makes it perfect, 'cause Peschke really cares.
John Hillworth was trying to hold his ground out in front of the net. Hutchinson took the first swing as he tried to stand out in front of the net. Hutchinson was trying to push him out of the area. Took a swing. John dropped his gloves, and they had a little go at one another, a lot of wrestling, but a few punches must have landed because Hutchinson wound up cut, and Hillworth went to the bench for some kind of a repair from trainer Lefty Wilson, too.
So we got started in kind of a hurry here. We can set the scene for you again while we have a second, which we welcome along. Billy Hogabaum and Dennis Polonich, both minor injuries in the game against Chicago Blackhawks last night. Nick Libet remains out, and so does Greg Jolly, though they could both be back in time for the weekend games coming up at Boston Saturday, Toronto back in Detroit Sunday. So the Wings reached down to their farm club and brought up John Hillworth and Steve Short, a couple of rugged defensemen, though Hillworth has been played at the forward position. Teams, of course, are at full strength. Offsetting penalties, Miller has shot when Carroll won the face-off, and the Toronto player McDonald, who stopped that out in front of the net, is down on the ice and getting up very slowly. The Red Wings, having scored their 73rd power play in this hockey game, that's the most of anybody in the National Hockey League going into the game tonight. Both Detroit and the New York Islanders had 72. The Wings scored 3 in the game last night against Chicago.
And 3 the night before, the afternoon
That's right.
before in Chicago. So they have scored 7 now in 2 games and the first third of the third game.
Now Sittler in against Carroll off to the right of the Toronto net. Again, Carroll won the draw. Tony Bergman with a shot, and Paul Matier grabs that. Drops it off for Anderson. Now it comes out to Sittler. Here's Darryl Sittler with a long shot. Rutherford grabs that. Rutherford playing it into the corner. Sittler goes in after it. Played it in behind the Detroit goal. Andy McDonald and Huber. Puck tipped away. That's Carroll taking a bump from Anderson. Huber came up with the puck, and it's sent out center ice by Reed Larson. Again, Larson and Miller are up on the wings, and they are centered this time by Greg Carroll. Rutherford played it into the corner. Willie Huber hit the side of his goal with it. Tommy Bergman goes after it. Now Tommy over on the opposite side. Clearing it on the left wing to Perry Miller. A long right side pass. Again, just too far for Larson. Back at his own blue line now is Carroll. Greg Carroll, center ice to Perry Miller. Miller trying to work away from Salming, hands it back now to Huber. Here's Willie Huber. He played it back to Larson, back at the blue line, setting up Tommy Bergman with a shot, and that's knocked away in front. Willie Huber banged it to the side of the net. Paul Mateer steers that away. Salming with it. 1-0 Detroit now as Sittler turns out to center ice. Play broken up by Willie Huber. Huber again, he's got Perry Miller, but the pass went off Lanny McDonald. Now Burrows playing it back to Salming deep in the Toronto zone at center ice. That's Sittler with it. Darryl Sittler bowled over by Perry Miller, gets right back up, still controls the puck. Shot it into the Detroit zone. Dan Maloney took a flyer as he moved in, and there was a little acting job there. And Bruce Hood, who has worked the last 3 Detroit games, let that one go by the boards. Here's Maloney, pass broken up by Reed Larson. 3 of the wings move over the line. Here's Larson putting it out in front. It went behind Perry Miller. J.P. LeBlanc holds it in. LeBlanc right out in front with a shot. And a big save by Paul Mateer and a good play by LeBlanc. Play came back out center ice. Now Walter McKechnie. Off to Maloney. Danny Maloney. He missed the puck as he went into the corner, and Rutherford came out. That's McKechnie in behind the goal. Reed Larson sent it to the corner. Glenville's pass didn't come through. Now on the left side, this is LeBlanc. J.P. over the line with a shot. Paul Mateer juggled it, but knocks it away. Coming back now, that's Turnbull. Ian Turnbull. At his own blue line, trying to work away from Bolduc. He shot it all the way to Jimmy Rutherford in the Detroit net. Rutherford cleared it to the corner. Maloney will go in after it. Now Dan Maloney. He tried to center it. Harper moved in to stop him. LeBlanc gets into it. They hold it for a face-off to the right side of the Detroit net. And now sticks up high is J.P. LeBlanc and Maloney. And Harper back of it all. Off to the side of the Detroit goal. You can win a $50 gift certificate in the Acme Red Wing prize drawing. Watch for tonight's winner between the first and second periods. Acme, where they have more, and they have it for less. Both teams are at full strength. Here's a quick shot by Sagagan. Oops. Puck came back toward the line, cleared out center. I knew I was going to have trouble with that one. Clearing it now, Harper. Harper played it to the blue line. It goes over the line. Battling after it is Bolduc. It's picked up by Maloney. Back inside his own zone and behind his own goal, Terry Harper. Now it's cleared to Bolduc. Danny Bolduc at center ice. LeBlanc on the right side. Bolduc got over the line. Harper steers it now to Dan Maloney. That's McKechnie being checked by Harper well up the ice. Turnbull comes back after it. Ian Turnbull. Now Turnbull cleared it back into the Detroit zone. Checked right there. Saganuk picks it up, carries it back into the Detroit zone. He was turned around, and this is Harper with it. Harper cleared it back out. Back after it now is Quenneville. You just have a feeling something's going to break loose here. Jimmy Rutherford playing it in behind his own net. That's Short going after it, clearing it out on the right side for Bolduc. Short took a pretty good whack. Coming up, Dale McCourt. He dropped it for Bolduc. Bolduc tried to move out in front. Puck lay there for the moment. It's still loose, but it's picked up now by Boutet. Pat Boutet down the right side. He is hauled down by Bolduc. And the Toronto bench up and yelling. The puck loose in the Detroit end. Paul Woods goes in behind his own goal. Now Woods. He turned away from Boutet. Still in behind the Detroit net. Now Woods cleared it on the right side for Willie Huber. He's checked immediately by Williams. Bolduc cleared it over on the left wing. Going in after it, Jerry Butler. It's played off to the side of the Detroit net and comes out now to Paul Woods. Woods just shot it out to center ice. Back after it is Burrows. Dave Burrows handing it off now to Salming deep in the Toronto end, and now Burrows. Burrows' pass broken up by Short. He's got Dale McCourt moving, and he's stopped immediately by Salming. Play goes into the Toronto zone, bumped in along the boards as LeBratton. They hold the puck, and the whistle stops the play. Face off in the Toronto end, and we'll be back in just a moment.
There's a brand new car from American Motors, the Spirit DL, and it'll change the way you move.
Let the Spirit move you. Let the Spirit move you.
Sporty looks, corduroy bucket seats, and a sleek instrument panel.
Let the Spirit move
Get into a great-looking, smooth-riding car. Get into the AMC Spirit. American Motors has the Spirit.
Let the Spirit move you.
Face-off is going to be to the right side of the Toronto goal, tended by Mike Palmatier, Jimmy Rutherford. In the Detroit goal, and the Wings leading at 1-0. 4 minutes, 24 seconds still to go. Face off to the right of the Toronto net. That shot by Netamansky was blocked by Lanny McDonald, and coming out with it now is Salming. Now Salming from center ice played it off to the side of the net. Rutherford tipped it away from McDonald. Tommy Bergman. He was bothered right there by Salming again. The puck goes to the corner. LeBratton swings it over to the left side. Coming in after it was Burroughs. He played it now to Sittler, overskated it. Danny LeBratton in after it. Took a pretty good bump from Lanny McDonald. Still came up with a puck, and then he was smacked again. That time by Williams, and the Wings clear it into the Toronto zone, but they wave off the icing. 3 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the first period. Long pass coming out center ice. Tommy Bergman brought it back in, offside, and they'll bring it back out over the Toronto blue line.
Little Danny LeBratton continues to amaze me. He is one of the nicest skaters on the Red Wing club. They've always said that players from Sweden and European countries didn't like the bumping. He has been hit through the course of this year and has jumped into players himself. He's as rough as any of them, and seems to manage to get away with it.
Darryl Sittler will go in against Dale McCourt just over the Toronto blue line. Lanny McDonald over to get a new stick. There's an old friend of yours, Sid.
Yes, Punch Emlak was let go by Buffalo this year. One of my all-time favorites.
Now Burroughs clearing it out to center ice. That's Sittler trying to get McDonald in. McDonald started through and coming back. Netamansky, with the help of Willie Huber, stopped him. Now the Wings are 3-on-2. Danny LeBratton. LeBratton cutting right out in front, and he shot wide, and he was there. And it's McCourt going into the corner with Lanny McDonald. Danny LeBratton made the play and then just shot it off target. Now the play coming back to the Detroit zone. Tommy Bergman stopped it. Here's Netamansky. Big net over the line with Burroughs in front of him, handing it off to LeBratton with another shot, blocked again by McDonald. Lanny McDonald starts Sittler out. Now Darryl Sittler back into the Detroit zone. His pass tipped away. Dave Williams goes after it. The Tiger clearing it in behind the Detroit goal. Miller sent it to the line. Quenneville fanned on it there, and it comes out center ice. Ian Turnbull. Turnbull stopped right at the line. That's Willie Huber with Saint Laurent ahead of him. Andre Saint Laurent over the line. Quenneville knocked it away from him. Willie Huber went in deep to break it up. Here's the pass. Huber trying to keep it in. They scramble in along the boards. Quenneville and Huber have each other tied up. Puck came back toward the line, but it's picked up now. And the Leafs bring it out to the Detroit blue line. Andre Saint Laurent, center ice. It's dumped back into the Detroit zone by Dan Maloney. Rutherford stopped it. McKechnie went in after it. McKechnie gave Rutherford a belt, and he's going to go off for interference. Walt McKechnie caught Jimmy Rutherford coming back into the goal. He whacked him.
This is a good call by the referee. McKechnie, a former teammate of Detroit, trying to make a play on the goaltender, although he was out of the crease. You're allowed to hit a goaltender out of the crease, but you cannot charge him, and McKechnie was skating and coming in. Got his arms and elbows up high and wound up getting a penalty.
Called it interference. I'm wrong. They called Jimmy Rutherford, Sid.
Is that right? For interference on McKechnie?
That's right.
Well, I thought it was McKechnie getting it for bringing his elbow and stick up around Jimmy's head.
And Rutherford.
So Rutherford interfered with him trying to get to the play behind the net.
Well, Jack Youngblood of the Los Angeles Rams is a celebrity contestant on Make Me Laugh tonight at 11 o'clock, and then stay tuned for the Gong Show at 11:30. That's tonight on TV 50. Bobby Crom in behind the Detroit bench. So it's Rutherford who gets an interference call at 17:47. John Hillworth goes over to serve the penalty time.
And I said it was a good call. I thought sure that McKechnie was getting it for making a play on Rutherford as he tried to get back to his net.
So now Toronto has the extra man. First time in the game, they've had a power play. Tommy Bergman fires it out to center ice. Ian Turnbull has it there. Between the first and second period, we're going to be paying some attention to the Wings' interest in amateur hockey. And Howie Meeker in the Detroit area will be conducting a school. Rocky Saganuk played it right out in front of the goal. Here comes a penalty to Toronto as Willie Huber was knocked down. And the sides now are going to be evened up. It'll be Saganuk who goes in. And he's not too happy with that, as you can see. So the sides are going to be all evened up.
Well, Saganuk just went over to make a play on Huber as Willie was going to shoot the puck out on his backhand. He got his stick up around his waist, give it a little tug, and Huber collapsed.
I almost thought Huber might have been falling down a little bit.
I think he was. He was off balance. He was going to try and backhand the puck out, but...
Well, the Wings get perhaps a break on it. Each team short a man. That's Turnbull. His shot deflected off to the side, and Paul Woods comes in after it. Woods handing it back now to Perry Miller with Reed Larson at center ice along with McCourt. Miller's pass broken up by McKechnie. McKechnie fell down. Look out, Reed Larson almost lost it to Maloney. Perry Miller covered up, and the Wings are being careless inside their own zone. Now Larson. Larson's pass tipped away by Salming. Comes back to Paul Woods. Woods left it right there. Turnbull didn't pick it up. Here off to the side of the net is Woods. Paul Woods. It goes to the side again, this time for Dale McCourt. McCourt handing it off to Reed Larson. Larson to McCourt out in front. Now Paul Woods, and Paul Mateer came out and stopped him. The puck bouncing loose, and it went right back to Paul Mateer, who holds on to it. Oh, what a chance the Wings had there.
And what beautiful passing from Larson to McCourt. McCourt had Palmateer on his hands and knees and still made the pass across to Paul Woods. Woods, if he got the puck up a little bit at all, probably would have scored. Palmateer, you were mentioning at the start of the game tonight that Palmateer could be the most valuable player to this Toronto club, and he has been a mainstay pretty well all year.
So the Wings could well have been in front 2-0, but instead it remains 1-0. Detroit out in front on the power play goal by Reed Larson at 8:55. Each team remains short a man. 50 seconds left in the penalty time to Detroit's Rutherford, being served by Hillworth. When he comes out, there'll be but 13 seconds remaining in the first period. Sittler and Andre Saint Laurent waved out of the face-off circle, so Errol Thompson comes in against Lanny McDonald. McDonald wins the draw, and this is Salming. He plays it now to Turnbull. Here's Ian Turnbull. He lost it to Saint Laurent. Andre Saint Laurent dumping it back for Thompson. Now Perry Miller. Miller a long pass. It comes up to Saint Laurent. Back to Reed Larson. We have 45 seconds in the period. Saint Laurent. He got it to the line. Now here's Reed Larson with it. Larson handing it off to Thompson. It skipped away from him. Errol Thompson goes in behind the goal. Put it out in front, and that bounced away from Larson. And Sittler takes it. Now Darryl Sittler over on the right side to Salming. Boreas Salming turning it out to center ice. Salming over the line into the Detroit zone. Salming works his way out in front, hands it back to Turnbull, and he's stopped by Rutherford. Big save by Jim Rutherford. And we have 15 seconds left now in the period. That's Perry Miller sending it to the line, going in after it. Here's Miller dropping it back now for Errol Thompson with a shot, and Paul Mateer the save, and the puck loose out in front, and then Saint Laurent's dumped. Over along the side of the fight going on between Sittler and I believe
Perry Miller.
Perry Miller. And Miller down on top of him. Off to the right of the Toronto goal. And Sid, how close the Wings have come to making it 2-0.
They have played a terrific, fantastic period of hockey. They've given Toronto all they want and should have 3 or 4 goals because they have passed the puck so well and had the goaltender at their mercy time and time again.
And so this broke out between Darryl Sittler and Perry Miller. And with the period over, the two of them will be picking up penalty time. So that's it, the end of the first period with the score. Detroit 1, Toronto nothing.
Caesar's pizza, tastiest in town. A winner anyway, slice it all the way around. The carryouts are good and hot. great for nighttime snacks. Or sit down at Little Caesars, just order and relax. If you want variety, there's a family in for you. It's a winner, come in and see Little Caesars.
See your local TV book for a free pizza coupon.
More people in the Southland, more folks throughout the West. No Allegheny's coming, and we're bringing out the best. From the heartland to the coastland, more people every day. No Allegheny Airlines needs more of the U.S. Allegheny Airlines.
Parts Plus, the sign of quality parts, competitively priced, plus the kind of service you can count on. Why do you buy from Parts Plus?
They're there when I want them with the parts I need.
Quality. With Parts Plus, I know I'm getting the best.
We've got a wide selection of hard-to-find parts. We get the answers that help us do it right.
Look for auto stores displaying this sign. Parts Plus, for automotive name brands you trust.
Can I offer you a Coke, sir?
No.
7-Up, some coffee?
No.
Something a little stronger.
No. I'd rather Werner's.
No matter what else you got, don't get caught with your burners down.
Wherever you're going, it's nice to know Werner's is there. Nothing can replace Werner's mysteriously refreshing taste. Absolutely nothing. Don't get caught with your Werner's down.
Detroit Red Wings lead 1-0 on a power play goal by Reed Larsden. And the Wings outplaying Toronto in that first period outshot them by a total of 12-5. Well, under the guidance of General Manager Ted Lindsay, the Detroit Red Wings have formed a very close relationship with amateur hockey in and around the state of Michigan. Among the programs developed by the Wings amateur hockey coordinator, Dave McGugan, are the very popular clinics featuring some name experts such as Howie Meeker. And here is Sarah Coyle of CBET to tell us about a recent Red Wing clinic.
Ever since the National Hockey League expanded to 12 teams, there are more American boys dreaming of becoming the first All-American hockey superstar. As the years go by, the NHL talent search increases south of the Canadian border. There's a desire here to learn the skills, but the coaching methods are poor. It's why the Detroit Red Wings are sponsoring coaching clinics such as this one. Howie Meeker, who's famous for stressing the fundamentals of hockey, conducted this clinic held in mid-December. It's part of a $100,000 annual contribution by the Red Wings towards the development of minor hockey.
When you see a lot of the kids coming up out of junior, they lack a lot of the qualities. They can all slap a puck, but most of them don't know how to pass a puck. Most of them don't know how to take a pass. None of them know how to wrist a puck. And these are some of the basic fundamentals that we hope to convey to the coaches and give them systems so that when they're on the ice for an hour or 45 minutes, whatever it is, they utilize every minute of that 45 minutes of hour and it's not wasted. You cannot have a kid standing around learning something. They have to be doing something with the skates, with the puck.
The Coaching Achievement Program is in conjunction with the Amateur Hockey Association of the United States, and it is recognized as the national model. It is a system in which the coaches go through the same situation as the players, thus giving the coaches a first-hand knowledge of the skills they must teach.
We've found over the years that the second you ask a Canadian or American boy in the main to do anything but skate straight ahead, he just can't manipulate his feet or anything the proper way. We teach them balance on skates. From balance comes power. And before this evening's over, just in the skating drills and tomorrow with the puck handling drills, we're going to embarrass the kids, really are. Now, the coaches, both in Canada and the United States, and the parents of these kids, they think, hey, I sired that son. That boy has the ability to play hockey. That's not right. He has the desire to play the game, but what we should do is teach him the skills first. Canadian coaches, American coaches teach kids who haven't the skills or try to teach them how to play the game. I say, hey, teach them the skills first.
Physical fitness within the schools, nothing like the Detroit area, the Ann Arbor area. The United States has the great physical fitness classes. You guys are getting robbed just like Canadians. Here you've got guys, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 years of age. You're trying to teach them how to play hockey. Can't do that. Hey, get back. What? We know that they can't go down. The odds are they can't get up. But if you're getting your tax dollars worth, the guy's got to be able to do that on skates. If the fellas involved in hockey in the United States put the same emphasis on teaching skills as they do in baseball, as they do in basketball, as they do in football, you would have not only a superstar, you could battle Canada for the World Championship and Russia as well. You would turn out more hockey players in Canada. But you don't do it. I can't understand. Every time I run a coach's clinic in the States, I come away shaking my head. I said, God, they're worse than we are.
The players will get this certificate when they leave here. As for the coaches, they'll receive their rewards someday in the future when one of their players becomes the NHL All-American Superstar. This is Sarah Coyle at the Detroit Olympia.
And our thanks to Sarah Coyle, CBET, and Hockey Night in Canada for the use of this feature that you have just seen. Score here at the end of one period. Maple Leaf Gardens, Toronto. The Detroit Red Wings 1, Toronto Maple Leafs nothing. And we'll return in just a moment.
United presents more nonstops to California than any other airline. Take him away, Maestro. We built the largest airline in the free world.
Around you, my friends, fly the friendly skies.
With all the talk about energy these days, no one knows exactly what the gasoline situation will be the rest of the year. But the people at Amoco do know. There are things everyone can do to help the situation, especially those of us who think saving gasoline is only for the other guy. Let your next tank full of Amoco gasoline be a reminder to conserve energy. A little effort by each of us can make things a lot better for all.
Ah, the endless possibilities of Peshki meats and your imagination. Imagine a great new way to enjoy Peshki lunch meats or bologna. Put a slice or two on 2 triangles of refrigerated crescent roll dough. Add a slice of American cheese, wrap it all up, and bake till brown. Your imagination makes it possible. Peshki makes it perfect.
Peshki makes it perfect, 'cause Peshki really cares.
Now there's a snowmobile that deep snow can't sink. Kawasaki's new Drifter, with a special chassis that bites deep as snow can get to give you trailblazing performance. Kawasaki Drifter's an awful lot of snowmobile for not an awful lot of money. Kawasaki Drifter. See it at your Kawasaki dealer.
Kawasaki lets the good times roll. Let's the good times roll.
One of the very nice young men in hockey who supplied a great many thrills to fans around the National Hockey League with Chicago and finished his career just a season ago with the Detroit Red Wings is joining Sid Abel now. Let's join Sid and Dennis Hall.
Well, thanks, Bruce. He at least said one of the nice young fellows. It's awful nice of Bruce, Dennis.
Well, you know, the nice was fine, but I like the young better.
Dennis, you, as Bruce mentioned, played most of your career in Chicago, were a goal scorer, then finished, come over and played last year in Detroit. Now, watching the first period here tonight, do you see that much difference in the team this year than last year?
Well, I've only seen Detroit play at the first of the year in Buffalo, which they won. I saw them play in Montreal. They won. And the game here tonight. But tonight they're throwing the puck around, you know, just like the Europeans. It's unbelievable that they're not higher in the standings. I really can't believe it.
Well, you know, the fact that hockey was turned around last year in Detroit and Dennis Hall was there, he's not there this year. Does that have any bearing on it?
No, none whatsoever. Ted Lindsay was nice enough to let me play the one more year in Detroit. I tried as best I could, and, you know, it was a great year for the Detroit Red Wings, and it's always tough. After you've had a good year and you've come from the bottom and come up, you surprise a lot of people, and the year after that is always tough because everyone's out for you. You know, they know that that you're capable of beating them, and they're ready for you.
All right, Dennis, I was going to ask this, too. After playing so many years in the National Hockey League and then finally saying, this is the end, Sitting out the first year, do you find that when watching a game that you feel, boy, I'd like to be out there?
No.
You don't?
No. I have, everyone's asked me that, and of course I've talked to other players, and Chico Mackey I was talking to just a little while ago, and he's been out for quite some time, and boy, he said, I'd love to be back out there, and I said, you're crazy, Chico, enjoy it.
I find every once in a while I make moves, and I haven't played for, I can't say how many years, many years.
Well, I never had any moves like that, Sid, so, no, I've enjoyed this year. I followed the Red Wings closely, and like a Red Wing fan that I am now, and died with them, as they stayed down and didn't come up. And but like I said, I've seen them play, and I've seen them play 3 great games, and I think it's there, and I think it's just going to take a little while longer, and I'm sure that, Ted knows what he's doing, and he's got him in the right direction.
I'm sure they're going to straighten around. They've played so well lately, Dennis. You and your brother are known as the 2 greatest scorers in the National Hockey League. Bobby just filled the net for many, many years with Chicago and is still filling the net, or not this year, but was filling the net out in World Hockey. Where or how did you get to be known as one of the hardest slap shot, I guess you would say, of anybody that's ever played hockey? Did you do that in junior, or was it something just that developed in pro?
Well, of course, when you have a brother like Bobby Hull, you sort of emulate things he did, and I am 7 years younger than Bobby, so as I was growing up, of course, Bobby was in the National Hockey League, and he started one of the first guys to you really use the slap shot effectively, and of course kids after that picked it up, and of course I was one of them, probably more so than the other guys, but I also had the benefit of him showing me the correct way, so it was helpful to me that way.
Dennis, just let's talk about Bobby for a few minutes. We played in Chicago just a few days ago. In fact, played them twice over the weekend. There's a lot of talk in Chicago that Bobby may be returning to the Blackhawks. Any insight on that at all from the whole end of it?
Well, I think, it's no secret Bobby wants to play again, and he wants to play in Chicago. I really think it's a shame that someone like John Ferguson would come out and say that, he's not going to allow Bobby Hull to play hockey. That's, a guy like that stopping, people from enjoying Bobby Hull. It sort of just points out what hockey's like.
Right, and if John Ferguson knew what the crowds were today to what they were when Bobby Hull and Dennis Hull were playing in Chicago, he might think differently.
Well, I don't think the fans came to see John Ferguson. I think they came to see Bobby Hull.
Dennis, thanks ever so much for stopping by. This is very, very short, but I've really enjoyed it. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Sid. I've enjoyed it, and let's keep our fingers crossed for the Red Wings.
Very, very good. Now let's go back to Bruce Martin.
Our thanks to Dennis Hull, Sid Abel, and many of our guests receive a $100 gift certificate from Cousins Clothiers, where fit has been foremost for over 50 years. Well, the score here after one period of play, the Detroit Red Wings won, the Toronto Maple Leafs nothing, and we'll return for the start of the second period in just a moment.
When you own a Trans van, you have to get used to all the room inside, like the carpeted dining area with thick cushioned seats and removable table. The sleeping area has large, comfortable sofa beds covered with stylish fabrics, ample closet space, too, and the stand-up kitchen has an icebox, stainless steel sink, roomy drawers, and plenty of cupboards. The versatile Trans van from Champion. Say maybe your next car shouldn't be a car.
See the new Trans van at Lloyd Bridge Chevrolet and Tom Harris Chevrolet.
You've got to keep it up if you want to be happy. Keep it up. Stepping, snapping, moving your feet to the beat of a brand new day. What do you say? Hey, you got to keep it up. Jogging in the sunshine, running through the park, having a fun time, drinking a Coke, 'cause Coke adds life to these thirsty feet of mine. Keep it up now, Coke adds life. Coca-Cola adds life.
What do you get with your interest from most banks when you deposit money?
Next.
What do you get with your interest when you deposit money in Bank of the Commonwealth?
I got a piano.
I got a piano.
I got these tools. I got a watch.
At Bank of the Commonwealth, when you deposit as little as $1,000 in a 7-year, 7% time certificate, you'll not only earn big interest, but also a big bonus. Some bigger than others.
Trying hardest to help. That's the Bank of the Commonwealth.
Who did your office?
I had his name here somewhere.
You could have gone to a place that specializes in organizing offices. Who did your office?
I did it myself.
You could have gone to a place with a staff of professional designers. Who did your office?
My brother-in-law.
Uh-huh. Call Silvers. We make business look better.
In the first period of this game, the Red Wings out-shooting Toronto Maple Leafs 12-5. And but for some great work by Mike Palmatier in the Toronto goal, the score would have been different than it is. Detroit leads the hockey game by a score of 1-0. Well, the Acme Sporting Goods presentation between this first and second period goes tonight to Terry Lynn of Farmington Hills, who filled out the Acme coupon, and you can call 895-7000 in Detroit for details on how to pick up your certificate. Well, they have just now, Sid, announced the penalties that were dished out when Perry Miller and Sittler mixed it up at the end of that period, 5 apiece for fighting, right?
And I don't know just what started that. Miller had made a play in deep in front of the Toronto net. The Wings had an excellent chance to score a goal, and somehow Sittler and Miller got tangled, and Miller threw Sittler flat on his back and took a few swings at him when they were down, but they both wound up getting fighting penalties.
We didn't have much opportunity to get your comments on that first period of play, but a period in which the Wings did dominate.
The Wings played, Bruce, the way they've been playing for the last 8 or 9 games. They passed the puck around just perfectly all period long, and had excellent scoring opportunities. This score could easily be 4-0.
Saganuk has 9 seconds remaining in his penalty as the second period gets underway. Willie Huber, a long shot that's knocked away easily by Paul Matier. Now this is Salming heading out. Borje Salming coming out center ice. Fired the long shot, but McKechnie was 5-6 feet over the blue line, way offside, and will come out over the Detroit blue line.
Big Walt McKechnie, former Red Wing, and has
former a lot of teams.
Yes, former a lot of teams, and has had a real fine season over here in Toronto this year. Scored a lot of winning goals for them. Big fella. They say at times that he's a little bit of a clubhouse lawyer, but has found a home, I guess, over here.
Penalty is over now, and both teams are at full strength. Perry Miller and Sittler lost for 5 minutes. They'll not be available until the 5-minute mark of the period. Sitting out their major penalties, the offsetting penalties, mean both teams play at full strength. That's John Hillworth, number 29. Over skating the puck was Williams. Now Williams has to go deeper into his own zone, in behind Paul Matier. We have played a half a minute of the second period. The score 1-0 Detroit on Reed Larson's power play goal. Now here's Williams moving to the Detroit blue line, over the line, slowed up by Tony Bergman, dumped it right out in front, and a big save and then a score. As Rutherford made the save, and then Paul Gardner got his own rebound and batted it in with no Red Wing player near it. Game tied at 1-1.
Well, they were a little casual in letting Williams getting over the blue line. Williams just dipsy-dooed along the blue line, made a blind pass across the front. It was right on Gardner's stick. As the puck bounced up in the air after Jimmy Rutherford made the original save, he knocked it out of the air into the empty net to tie the score at 1-1.
Williams and Turnbull draw the assist on the goal scored by Gardner. 48-second mark, and all of a sudden it's a 1-1 tie. Now at center ice, Andre Saint-Laurent. He turns away from the check of Turnbull, hands it back now to Willie Huber. Huber's pass picked off by Turnbull, intercepted now by Hillworth, and moving in offside was Saint-Laurent. Hutchinson dumped Hillworth, and those two are antagonists in the first period. And I think this is far from over.
It just shows, Bruce, how goals can be scored. The Wings did everything but score goals in the first period.
And then we'll talk a little more about that after we pause for this.
I ain't going up that hill.
No way.
Off-road is fun, but sometimes you run into an obstacle that only a true four-wheel drive vehicle can handle.
A Jeep CJ will give it a try.
The Jeep CJ, built rugged, tough, and tailor-made for terrain like this. It's easy to see the Jeep CJ was born and bred for four-wheeling. And there's even options like automatic transmission and a hardtop. Top that.
That was fun.
The Jeep CJ. We wrote the book on four-wheel drive.
Paul Gardner's 25th goal of the season from Williams and Turnbull at the 48-second mark, making it now a 1-1 tie. Dale McCourt backhanding it into the Toronto zone. Paul Mateer stopping it in behind his own goal for Salming. He and McCourt battle in behind the goal. Now Salming still holding that puck. Handed it off, picked it up himself, and cleared it just too far for Jimmy Jones. Off to the side of the Detroit goal. Rutherford sends it in the corner now for Larson. Reed Larson took a bump from Boutet. Here's LeBratton just failing to get loose. Short was dumped, gets up, controls it, clears it to LeBratton. Danny LeBratton's pass picked off by Boutet. He hands it out center ice, and Reed Larson has it there. Larson got it to the line. He took a bump right there from Burroughs, and then Larson moved in, and he stole the player. Now Boutet and Reed Larson are going to go at it. Right in front of the Detroit bench. Larson was going to pick up a penalty to begin with as he dumped Lanny McDonald, who had come into him. And then Boutet took exception to Larson, came after Larson, and the two of them dropped the glove.
And this is one thing I like about Reed Larson, an American boy. He is not scared to mix it with any of them. He took a pretty heavy bump from two of them along the boards. And then when Boutet got involved in it, he dropped his gloves and was ready to fight, and he'll fight any of them.
But I think Larson is going to pick up the extra penalty time. And the two of them are going in at 1 minute and 59 seconds. Here we go again.
There were two of them, and he took a little push.
Was it Butler he did?
Right. Then he pushed one player down from behind, and Boutet was the first one to take a little push at Larson.
And I think Larson's going to pick up the extra time. Well, if your ordinary new car tires have less than 300 miles, you can trade in your 4 tires on a whole new set of 4 Michelin radials. Just $200 plus tax at your Super 6 tire centers. One thing you kind of hate to see Larson gone for that length of time, son.
Yes, you certainly do, but at the same time, the Wings have extra defensemen tonight. It's not that they are short defensemen. I was talking just before the commercial about Gardner's goal. Gardner knocked the puck out of the air, but Williams just made a blind pass. He never took a look across to see where Gardner was. He made a blind pass. Gardner just happened to be going through the slot out in front of the net, made contact with the puck. Jimmy made the save, and then he knocked it in out of the air. There's Coach Bobby Crom, much happier this last few weeks with the way the Wings have played.
Referee Bruce Hood must have made a complicated call down there because both players had to go across to talk to their coaches. Here it is. Ooh, they gave Larson 2 for roughing and 2 more for unsportsmanlike.
I can't understand that, although I think they were having words, Boutet and Larson, after the penalties had been called, and as Larson was skating towards the box, he just more or less waved his hand back at Boutet, and the referee may have felt that he was doing it, making a gesture towards him. There was nothing. Here's the play. Now, Williams never looked at all on that, and then Gardner knocked it down from just below his shoulder.
You think it was just below?
It was right at his shoulder by the appearance, but it did count. The Wings are really come out on the short end of this. 2 and 2 and 5 to Larson, while Boutet only got 5 for fighting.
So that means the Red Wings will play short a man for the next 4 minutes. Sittler and Miller remain in the penalty box, so a big break here on the penalty call against Larson. 2 for roughing, 2 for unsportsmanlike conduct, and then 5 for fighting. And Boutet picked up the 5 for fighting at 1:59. So it's an extra man for Toronto. That's McCord, who took a swing at it, sent it back to the Toronto Maple Leaf blue line. Turnbull turns it out on the right side to Salming. Now Borje Salming turning in behind his own goal. Pulling away from Dale McCord, clearing it on the left side. Saganuk went over the line, but he was stopped by Harper. Now the play with Turnbull taking a bump along the boards. They hold it there, and the play whistled down as the Leafs brought it back in offside. Detroit with Paul Woods and Dale McCord up front as penalty killers. And now the Wings change as J.P. LeBlanc and San Laurent come out. Dan Maloney with Lanny McDonald and McKechnie, Turnbull and Salming. Power play combination for Toronto with a play just over the Detroit blue line, and Larson with still 3:25 to go in his penalties. This is Borje Salming moving into the Detroit zone. A pass to Lanny McDonald with a shot. Rutherford blocked that. Steers it back to the goal. Tommy Bergman took a swipe at it. He was tied up by McKechnie. Puck went to the far side. San Laurent tipped his man off balance. Maloney gets into it, and the play whistle down. Face-off stays off to the left of the Detroit goal.
And we have one out-of-town score. Pittsburgh are leading Washington. This game being played in Pittsburgh. It's Pittsburgh 1, Washington nothing.
And a quick change in the Detroit bench now as Woods and McCourt come back out. You look at Willie Huber. A young man who grows a little stronger with every National Hockey League game he plays, and the Wings expecting great things of him through the season. And a good many seasons to come. Now it's back to Borje Salming. He hands it off to Lanny McDonald. McDonald holding at the rim of the circle. There's going to be now Willie Huber and Dan Maloney. Drop the gloves. A penalty has been called, and I think referee Bruce Hood is going to wave the two of them off. And if he does, that means Detroit is going to be 2 men short now, and Toronto 1. They dropped the gloves and fired off, and they're jabbing away at each other. But Maloney and I imagine Huber, too, will be ushered into the penalty box. And as they go in, we'll pause to watch this.
Dan Maloney and Willie Huber started pushing and slashing out in front of the net. Both got their sticks up high. They're way over in the corner, and Willie Huber took a slash there from Maloney. Dan Maloney hasn't had...
Maloney's getting 5 minutes.
He took a deliberate slash at Willie Huber. I was saying that Dan Maloney hasn't had to fight against Willie Huber, and while Dan Maloney was known as a fighter the last year or two, he hasn't won too many fights, so he's involved in a lot of wrestling matches. But Willie Huber, no doubt, could stand his ground against Dan Maloney.
So you can figure the time now at 2:58 of the second period. Larson's had 3 penalties, Boutet a major, Maloney a major, and Willie Huber a minor. And one of Larson's a major. So what it means now is Detroit is going to play 2 men short for the 2 minutes Willie Huber is assessed, unless Toronto scores. And Maloney must stay in the penalty box for the solid 5 minutes. 3 minutes and 1 second left in the double minor to Reed Larson. So Dale McCord is the only Detroit forward out. The game tied at 1-1. McCourt won the draw. Here's Tommy Bergman. He and Salming. Well, the 2 Swedish players face one another. And Tommy Bergman went around him, and Paul Matier came out and stopped him. Well, Bergman almost made the move around Borje Salming.
He had him beat on the outside. He had him beat going around the outside. He cut in. Palmatier just come out and sprawled and made the save.
In the first period, Detroit rather soundly outplayed Toronto, outshot them 12-5. Paul Matier was great in the Toronto net, and the Wings did miss a couple of good, excellent scoring chances, but Larson scored the only goal on a power play. Gardner got it back, bouncing his own rebound into the net at 48 seconds of the second period, and it is 1-1. And now the Leafs with the extra man. Play was broken up by Harper, and Tommy Bergman lifted it right up into the crowd. That'll keep the play in the Toronto zone.
And the Detroit zone, this is one thing that...
I'm sorry, Detroit zone.
This is one thing that Detroit were trying to avoid. They don't want Toronto to be able to get inside their zone on a face-off and get all 4 men stationed. The fact that they have the extra player, they can move it back out to the points and pass it back and forth and get the Wings out of position.
1 minute and 37 seconds left in Huber's penalty. 2 minutes and 38 seconds in Larson's. and 4 minutes, 37 seconds in Dan Maloney's penalty. The linesman, Kevin Collins, getting some attention from the Toronto trainer. Coming soon, Peschke, new great American super-size hot dog, the one that fills the bun at your supermarket. We have 16 minutes and 39 seconds to go in the second period, which means we've only played 3 minutes and 21 seconds. We've had a goal and a bundle of penalties. 6 of them. 5, 10, 15, 24, 26 minutes.
Now we have a couple other scores. Chicago won, New York Rangers won, and Minnesota are leading Philadelphia 3-1 in the first period.
Again, Dale McCourt won the important face-off, and the puck driven down the ice. Now here's Salming handing it back to Turnbull. Rutherford tipped it into the corner. Puck slammed away by Tommy Bergman, kept in at the line. That's Lanny McDonald with it. McDonald played it off the side of the net. McKechnie back along the point now to Salming. Salming handing it back to McKechnie. McKechnie setting up Turnbull with a shot. He scores! Power play goal, and it's 2-1 Toronto.
Now that shot went right through Jimmy Rutherford's pads, through his legs, from a bad angle. A pass away across into the circle, and it was shot right through Jimmy's pads. He thought he had it and put the glove down to try and cover it, but it went straight through. Puts Toronto ahead.
Now the Red Wings. That will lead up one of their penalties. Or will it?
Here's the play going across to Turnbull. He shoots from above the spot.
They have to bring a man out of the penalty box.
Huber should be released. They're so confused down there. There's 6 players in the penalty box.
McKechnie and Salming draw the assist. It's a power play goal because the Wings are 2 men short and Toronto won. And the Wings are going to have to bring another man out. The major penalty was assessed Dan Maloney. And the minor penalty. The only other thing they could do, Sid, I'd have to ask you this one. Did they eat up the remaining time on the first of the 2 minors to Reed Larson?
No, I don't think so. After all, they were short-handed, and the reason they were short-handed.
Well, Reed Larson at back-to-back minor penalties. They might just eat up to the last 11 seconds. He has 2:11 to go in his penalty time.
That could be correct, because then they have the fighting penalty to Larson. I was saying that Huber caused the team to be short-handed, but technically he didn't. They were short-handed because of Larson being the original fellow in the penalty box with 2 minutes and the 5 minutes.
That's all he did was take the 11 seconds off of Larson's penalty, so he'll not be able to come back on. That means Willie Huber has still 1:10 to serve in his penalty time, and so the Wings remain short-handed, or too short, while Toronto has won.
Bobby Crum still doesn't believe this, Bruce.
Well, I can understand what they're doing now. Referee Bruce Hood goes over. Reed Larson would have been the first man to come out, and he was serving back-to-back minor penalties.
They are right. He was the one that caused them to be short. Huber was just an added penalty when he was involved in the 5-minute fighting with Maloney, where Maloney got 5 minutes.
So it still is a situation where Detroit is 2 men short. Paul Woods trying to get loose. Slowed up at center ice, and here's Turnbull again, moving over the line into the Detroit zone. They jam along the boards. Tommy Bergman got to it, threw it down the ice. And there's going to be a holding call against Paul Woods, I guess.
Well, Detroit is just running into too many penalties now.
And this is going to hurt. So while Woods heads in, we'll pause now for this.
Parts Plus, the sign of quality parts, competitively priced, plus the kind of service you can count on. Valvoline isn't just for winning races, it's for anybody who wants the best protection possible for their hard-working engine. And now you can treat your car to Valvoline 10W40 all-season motor oil for just 69 cents a quart at your nearest participating Parts Plus auto store. Look for auto stores displaying this sign, Parts Plus, for automotive name brands you trust.
As Paul Woods tries to make a play over along the boards on Lanny McDonald, Turnbull gets involved with him and is holding his arm and stopping Paul Woods from making a play and pulled him down. I thought it was Paul Woods that was getting the penalty for his involvement with Ronnie McDonald, but
so
it's
did Paul
Turnbull.
Woods, and
Yes.
so did Turnbull, and so did the crowd. And then when Woods started over, the referee stopped him, said, "No, you." Now the referee is over there talking to the official, trying to straighten it out again. We have played now 4 minutes and 5 seconds. You can see it there. 4 minutes and 5 seconds of the second period. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 penalties, and 3 of them majors.
And the tough part about this, though, is the fact that Toronto have come back and scored 2 goals in this period of confusion, really, where the first goal was just a blind pass across the front that Gardner got his shot away, was saved by Jimmy Rutherford, and then knocked out of the air into the net. The second goal was it was a power play goal where the play was passed back and forth, and then finally went across from McKechnie to Salming, and Salming over to Turnbull, and Turnbull from a bad angle. Jimmy Rutherford thought he had made the save, but it went through his pads to put Toronto ahead.
Well, all this confusion. Dan Maloney still has 3 minutes and 53 seconds to serve in his penalty. They've taken the penalty time right off the board. Willie Huber has 53 seconds to serve. Reed Larson, 1:43. Now Turnbull, 2 minutes. They removed Maloney's penalty time. It should be up above the number 2, which is Turnbull.
All I know is that Detroit will have...
They'll each play 2 men short until Huber gets back. Then the Wings will play 1 man short. Then when Larson gets back, 50 seconds later, Detroit's going to have a 2-man advantage for a total of 17 seconds.
Well, you've worked that out pretty good, Bruce.
Oh, yeah. And then from then on, I'm not sure.
Well, I'll say this. The coaches aren't sure because Nielsen is just as confused over behind the Toronto bench as to what's going on.
Well, we've been confused on penalty calls on 2 occasions. We had McKechnie going off once when indeed it was Rutherford. Then we had Woods going off when it turned out to be Turnbull. So here's Paul Woods winning the face-off. Each team 2 men short. And the Wings trail it 2-1. Tommy Bergman flipped it over the line in toward the corner. Williams goes in after it. Tiger Williams trying to pull away from Paul Woods. Now here's Williams coming out. Pass on the right side. That's Quenneville back to Williams over the line into the Detroit zone. His pass tips away. Picking it up is Woods, and Tommy Bergman starts out with him. Tommy coming in deep with Woods. Tommy's loose out in front, but Woods was tied up along the boards by Burroughs, who sent him to the ice. And Williams goes in after it. Now 15 seconds left in Huber's penalty. Here's Dave Burroughs. Burroughs clearing it on the left side. That's Quenneville. Putting it out in front. Woods intercepted. 1 man back. That's Burroughs. Paul Woods holds up. John Amell coming up with him. Over the line, Paul Woods. Woods still working the puck. Now Huber's out. Wings have a man advantage. This is John Hamel. The puck slid just wide of the net. Huber takes it into the corner. Huber playing it back on the line to Tommy Bergman. He's got Hamel open. John Hamel to Woods out in front. Woods tried to return the pass. He was open and tried to get it back, and it was broken up. Now the Wings changing players. That's Hamel turning in behind his own goal. 20 seconds left in Larson's penalty. Nedemansky on the move with Dale McCourt. Ned over the line, drops it off for McCourt with a shot. That's blocked by Salming. McCourt went after it, hands it back to Willie Huber. He drilled his shot. Palmatier juggles it and holds on. And the play stays in the Toronto end. 6 seconds remaining in Larson's penalty. 23 seconds in the penalty to Turnbull.
I was going to mention the inexperience of Willie Huber. He took a perfect pass from McCourt across to the point. He could have walked in 20 feet before shooting, but he elected to shoot from a good 45 feet out. Palmatier will just eats those up. There's no problem at all, although he did drop the puck. But if he had moved in 15 or 20 feet, chances are he would have been able to beat him.
Well, they have posted Boutet up as 2 minutes now instead of Maloney. There's another penalty on the big board here that shows Toronto 2-minute penalty. Boutet went off with Reed Larson on the fighting call at 1:59. Tell you one break the Wings had, though Toronto did score on the power play. The fact that for most of that power play time they did not have the services of Darryl Sittler, who went off at the 20-minute mark. Half of the confusion has been with the big board here, which has just erased Dan Maloney's penalty time, though he does remain in the penalty box. Well, he went off for 5 minutes at 2:58, which means he's due back at 7:58. And we're now at the 5:42 mark, so he has a little over 2 minutes to go.
And mentioning Sittler went off with Miller. Sittler is not down there in the penalty box.
Well, the 5 minutes is up. Neither is Miller. So.
Oh, Miller's just left. I'll get with it. Right.
Miller's on the ice now with Nedemansky and Willie Huber. The Wings have a one-man advantage. This time the face-off is won by Jones. Puck fired right up into the Detroit bench. Lefty Wilson made a great move over there to get out of the way.
Lefty still has those moves. He just bounced up along that wall and let the puck go by him.
2 seconds left in Larson's penalty. When he comes out, there'll be 17 remaining in the penalty time to Turnbull.
Now look at Lefty laughing.
Well, there's the brain trust of the Toronto Maple Leafs. King Clancy on the left, Ballard in the middle, Gregory on the right side.
Probably not as easy going as they were just a few weeks ago. There was quite a bit of criticism against Harold Ballard on the Roger Nielsen deal.
The Wings are going to wait, I think, until they post the time on the board, Sid. I think that's what it amounts to. They do not have Dan Maloney's time posted, and that becomes important. They have to rely on him when he comes back. Bruce Hood has gone over. He's calling them back into play.
I'm glad we didn't have just a commercial flight out tonight, because if we had a deadline to meet, it appears as though we're going to be here most of the evening.
We've played only 5 minutes, 46 seconds of the second period. We've been here a long time. Now McCourt worked it back to Huber in the corner to Nedemansky. Back to Willie Huber. Now the penalty time to Larson is over, but he's not coming out for some reason. It came back. Oh, he's got still the 5 minutes to be serving. That's a shot by McCourt. He scores. Dale McCourt. Well, I'm trying to work things out. He still had the 5-minute major penalty.
That goal scored by McCourt is very, very similar. Nedemansky and Huber make a little game of passing, then Huber over to McCourt. This goal is scored pretty well, very same spot on the opposite end as Toronto's goal scored by Turnbull on the power play from just off the spot in an angle, and the puck went right through Palmateer's legs into the net.
Game all tied at 2-2 on a power play goal.
Huber had made several passes with Nedemansky, then he finally elected to give it to McCourt, and he put it right through the middle of his legs, knee high, and that's just where Turnbull's shot had gone on Jimmy Rutherford earlier when Toronto took the lead 2-1.
I'm still confused. I still say that Detroit should have an extra man, because the minor penalty time, 4 minutes to Reed Larson, has been served, has it not?
It must be.
And yet they're playing short a man.
They're both short a man.
Well, Maloney is serving the latter part of his 5 minutes. So I am completely confused. Now here's Nedemansky back at his own blue line. Turning out in front of his own goal. Playing it ahead to Willie Huber. Now the Wings have an extra man on. Stan Leroy just came on the ice. While the play was in progress, over the line is Dale McCourt. McCourt drops it back to Miller. Wings have a one-man advantage. That's shot by Nedemansky, and Paul Mateer made a great move on that one.
Nedemansky got good wood on this puck, and Palmateer made a late move down on his hands and knees and had the puck smothered underneath him. Well, there's still confusion over at the penalty box now. Toronto are wondering what's going on. They still have Maloney and Boutet in there. Larson is finishing, serving the remainder of his 5 minutes. Bruce Hood, I think, is put out, and the fact that he has had to make half a dozen trips over to talk to the official scorer or the penalty timekeeper. And this is supposedly the hockey hotbed of the North American continent, but they are confused as to the penalties.
Well, at any rate, they still haven't posted Dan Maloney's penalty. He stays in the penalty box. The Red Wings have an extra man. The game is tied 2-2. Willie Huber stopped it at the line, played it out in front. LeBratton couldn't get to it. It's kept in by McCourt the first time and then cleared back down the ice by Boreas Salmi. We have a little more than 13 minutes to play in a very confusing second period. The game is tied at 2-2. Detroit still with the extra man. Now moving out, this is Nedemansky. Ned brings it out to center ice. Over on the right side to Willie Huber. Now Huber to Miller. Miller gets over the line. Here's Miller holding it up, playing it off on the left side. It went right through. Nedemansky back. It comes to Huber with a shot. Paul Matier knocked it away. Dave Burrows being checked by Dale McCourt. They go in along the boards, hold it there, and then it's kicked away by Burrows and picked up by Jones. He put it right on the stick of Perry Miller at center ice. Miller being watched by Butler. Maloney remains in the penalty box. A bad pass intercepted by Salming. Here's Salming with a weak shot. Perry Miller stopped that. Danny LeBratton chasing after the puck was hauled off it by Butler. Play goes deep into the Toronto end and back after it Salming. Borja Salming, he's stripped, and Nedemansky got away with that. And the puck driven out to center ice. Back after it, Perry Miller. Miller's pass broken up, came right back to him. Now Miller moves into the Toronto zone, ahead to Dale McCourt. McCourt was hooked, and Salming's going to get a penalty. You'll hear the crowd scream here. Borja Salming is going to go off. And while he does, and while the Leafs come out to argue with the referee, we'll pause now for this message.
The new Trans van by Champion is shorter than this car, has more room than this van, and costs less than this station wagon. Yet this Trans van sleeps up to 4 and even includes a kitchen.
Lunch is ready.
Oh, terrific.
John, presenting the traffic jam burger.
The amazing new Trans van by Champion. Maybe your next car shouldn't be a car.
See the new Trans van at Colonial Dodge and Crestwood Dodge.
There's a little feed ahead by Perry Miller to McCourt, and Salming hooked right onto him and pulled McCourt off the puck when Dale had an excellent opportunity to get right in and possibly score a goal.
Well, at any rate, the Red Wings now have a one-man advantage as Dan Maloney's penalty time is over. Just about the time the Salming penalty was called. And the Wings have the extra man, Salming off for hooking at 7 minutes and 58 seconds. Now the puck sent over on the right side. Coming out with it is Saint Laurent. Andre Saint Laurent back on his own line. Here's Willie Huber, center ice. Huber lost control of it. And it's Quenneville who shoots it back into the Detroit end. Minute and a half left in the penalty time to Borja Salming. Game tied at 2-2. Now Dale McCourt. Off to Greg Carroll. Carroll moving out center ice. Carroll got over the line. Here's Carroll going around Turnbull with a shot. The save made. Huber sends it back now to Dale McCourt. He fired the shot. Paul Matier the save, and it went right through Harold Thompson. Kept in by Saint Laurent. Here's Saint Laurent. He took a hit from Dan Maloney. In behind the goal is Carroll. Carroll controls it. Greg Carroll pulling up in the circle. Carroll put it out in front. Saint Laurent couldn't get to it. Harold Thompson back along the blue line. He was checked and comes back after it. Now McCourt turning it at center ice. 50 seconds left in the penalty. It'll be picked up by Greg Carroll. Now Carroll starts Saint Laurent over the line. Andre Saint Laurent. He was checked by Quenneville. The play comes back center ice. Willie Huber. Huber playing it ahead for Andre Saint Laurent. They whistled it offside. And the play out over the Toronto blue line. 10 minutes and 37 seconds still to go in this second period.
35 seconds left on Salming's penalty. The Wings had it. Possession in deep, moved it around a couple times. Carroll ducked right through the middle of the Toronto defense and made a good play, but then couldn't score.
So Detroit continues to hold the extra man. J.P. LeBlanc comes out now to center Paul Woods. Along with Dan Bolduc, puck rolled back to the line. Fired back into the Detroit zone. Going in behind his own goal is Perry Miller. Miller moving out on the right side with a pass to Reed Larson. Now it's J.P. LeBlanc. LeBlanc shooting it into the corner. Paul Matier came out to play it away from Bolduc. Paul Woods spun his man around, hands it back to Larson with a shot. And that hit somebody out in front and fired back down the ice by Butler as Larson unloaded that one.
And it hit J.P. LeBlanc in the back of the leg, and he is really limping.
Now Perry Miller in behind his own goal. Salming's penalty is over. And the Wings fail to click on the power play. There'll be an icing call against Detroit. Play will come back into the Red Wing zone.
How would you like to be standing in front of the net on that Larson shot as J.P. LeBlanc was? And with his back turned to the play, he got that right, I would think, right in the middle of his calf, and he is hurt. He's gone over to the bench, and he's up here under an emergency because of all the injuries. Chances are he will join the group now.
You look at Dave Hutchinson going onto the Toronto bench. So the teams are now at full strength, first time in quite a while. The play will be off to the left of the Detroit goal. Dale McCord in against Sittler. Game tied at 2 apiece. Well, the Red Wings continue to add to their power play total. They've got 2 of them in this game. Here's Reed Larson clearing it on the right side. It got by Dale McCourt. That shot deflected into the corner. Lanny McDonald goes digging in after it. Into the opposite corner, being chased by Larson. Puck came out to Nedemansky. 3 of the Wings moved down. Over on the left side, play was broken up by Salming. Nedemansky brings it back in. Now Ned back along the blue line, worked away from Williams. Took the shot. Paul Mateer made the save. Now here's LeBratton going in along the boards with Salming. The 2 of them into the corner. The puck came up on the right side to Lanny McDonald. McCourt kicked it away from him. Back now to Perry Miller. Now to Larson. Reed Larson to Dale McCourt. McCourt got it over the line. It goes to the corner, going in after it. Burrows clearing it to Williams. Williams playing at the other corner, and Salming goes in there with LeBratton. Puck came up on the right side. Lanny McDonald played it off Sittler to center ice. Reed Larson, a good pass to Dale McCourt. McCourt moving in. McCourt wound up with a shot, and Paul Mateer kicks that away. Lanny McDonald. McDonald checked by McCourt. Puck came to the line. It'll be brought out by Williams. Now Williams ahead to Salming. Salming lost control, goes back after it. We have 8.5 minutes to play in the second period of a 2-2 tie. Lanny McDonald into the Detroit end, going back after it, Dale McCourt. McCourt dumped it into the corner for Dan LeBratton. Now LeBratton's pass broken up. He went back, picked it up. Ahead to Nedemansky. Now Reed Larson. Over on the left side is Miller. Miller is trying to cut through. Puck came out in front. It's loose, and the shot by Nedemansky was tipped away. Nedemansky behind the net, covered there by Williams. Now that's Sittler moving out. Miller knocked it off his stick. Reed Larson's pass up over Errol Thompson. Hutchinson turns with it. Now Hutchinson ahead to Ron Ellis, who hasn't seen much service thus far. Hutchinson brings it back into the Detroit zone. Put it out in front. Larson clears it now to Miller. Miller's up on a wing. Coming back with it now is Dale McCourt. McCourt over the line. Here's McCourt. He was hauled down by Turnbull. The puck loose in behind the net. Sittler cleared it on the left side to Boutet. Now 3 of the Leafs move out. Pat Boutet. He dropped it off for Butler, and Harper stopped him. Terry Harper heads back. Harper with Sam Leroy up ahead of him. Here's Sam Leroy taking an onside pass. Cutting in with a backhander, hit the side of the net. Sam Leroy put it back to the line, and it went between everybody. And Sam Leroy made a great effort. 7 minutes, 15 seconds to go in the second period. Long pass, Errol Thompson. Here's Thompson with Sam Leroy trailing. Thompson going right in. And the save made by Paul Mateer. And Thompson never saw the pass from Sam Leroy that came back to him. And coming right back is Salming on the move. Trying to work around Hamel, his backhander. And Hamel got a piece of that and ended up in the crowd.
And this is really opened up.
And we'll be back with more of it after we pause now for this.
Now on the ice, the Detroit Standard Dealers Sports Club, giving their support to Greater Detroit and our own Detroit professional teams. They may not be pros on skates, but they sure are at offering you quality standard service for your car. What do you say, guys? Come on out and support the Standard Dealers and our teams.
So we are with you once more from here at the Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, where the Detroit Red Wings and the Toronto Maple Leafs are tied at 2 apiece. Face off to the left of the Detroit goal. That's Ron Ellis. He centered it, knocked away by Huber. Ellis picks it up again. Back on the line. Burroughs let the shot go. Rutherford grabbed it, and then he stopped the man right out in front, Boutet. And Jimmy Rutherford came through with a dandy on Pat Boutet. Now Paul Woods carried in. Greg Carroll went to the bench. It came back to J.P. LeBlanc, knocked away. And now moving down the ice
And making the check on the play, Tommy Bergman, as Gardner tried to get loose. Loose out in front and picked up now by Danny Bolduc. Here's Paul Woods. Woods moving in, pulling up at the line. Paul Woods, he's checked off the puck by Boutet. And they scramble right at the blue line. Ellis trying to work it out. It came back now to Burrows. Here's Dave Burrows clearing it over on the right side, and back after it, Paul Woods. Tommy Bergman. Now Bergman's pass. Kicked off J.P. LeBlanc. Boutet played it back into McKechnie. He dumped it off to the side. Woods goes in after it. Saganuk in after him. They hold it in along the boards. It came loose. Boutet digging after it. Pat Boutet out in front. Boutet circling. Handing it off to Quenneville with a shot. It was knocked down. Woods didn't find it. Boutet took the shot. A penalty coming up to Detroit. In behind the goal. Going after it, Walt McKechnie. McKechnie played it all the way back to center ice. There's a delayed call coming up against Willie Huber. But Toronto has the play, and they have lifted their goaltender for the extra attacker. Now it's Saganuk into the right side. Saganuk moving in for a shot, and Rutherford made the save, and Bolduc didn't get to it. Now it will be Willie Huber or Rutherford who will play it back to the goal, and the penalty will be called. And Detroit is going to play short a man, and we'll be back with the Toronto power play in just a moment.
Little Caesar's Pizza, nobody loves it like a kid. Fun to eat, nobody loves it like Little Caesar's Pizza. Nobody loves it like my favorite treat. Nobody loves it like a kid, like a kid. Little Caesar's Pizza.
See your local TV book for a free pizza coupon.
Willie Huber received an interference call on a play out in front of the Detroit net probably 30 seconds before the play was stopped because Toronto had an opportunity to get their goaltender off on the delayed call. Face-off is deep in Detroit's zone. The score tied 2-2.
So Toronto with Huber off for interference at 14:47. Leafs have the extra man. McKechnie wins the draw. Here's Turnbull. Ian Turnbull. Turnbull dumping it toward the circle now for Quenneville. Back it comes to McKechnie to Turnbull. He took the shot, knocked down by McCourt, and Dale McCourt backhands it down the ice. Puck rolls all the way to the side of the Toronto net. Paul Mateer stops it there for McKechnie, and McKechnie missed everybody with it. And a break for the Wings. There'll be an icing call as Larson is back to touch it. And that'll bring the play right back into the Toronto zone. Jane Fonda, John Travolta, and Cannon, Robin Williams of Mork and Mindy, and a whole galaxy of stars are coming your way during the Golden Globe Award telecast Tuesday night at 10 on TV 50.
Willie Huber just flattened McKechnie. That's the reason for the penalty. Right out in front of the Detroit net when Toronto were pressing.
A minute and a half left in Huber's penalty time. The game tied at 2-2. Dale McCourt now skating over to question something with the referee, Bruce Hood. What they want is the face-off on the other side.
Bruce Hood just turned away from him.
McCourt feels, I guess, that he would be better off if he had the face-off in the circle to the right of the Toronto goal, where he could send it back. Loses the argument, goes in against Sittler, and Sittler wins the draw anyway. Here is Turnbull moving in behind his own net. Toronto with the extra man as Turnbull moves out to center ice. Lanny McDonald, Salming on the left side. That's Salming dropping it back. Saint Laurent moved in, took it away. Andre Saint Laurent finds the opening, and he clears it off the boards back to the Toronto line. Sittler back after it. A minute 10 left in the Detroit penalty. Over the line now, Turnbull being chased by Saint Laurent. Saint Laurent, he go to the corner. Larson gets into it. They hold it there. Face off to the right side of the Detroit net. And again, that time it was Davey Williams moving into it.
And Andre Saint Laurent. You know, we've talked about LeBratton and Nedemansky and Larson all playing well. Andre Saint Laurent in the last 6 weeks has come on very strong. He scored 31 goals for the Wings last year. He's not near that total now, but he is playing a much stronger hockey game than he was earlier in the season.
And Saint Laurent and Williams are still having words with the two linesmen in between them. Red Kelly, an old friend, old teammate of yours. Sid will be joining you in the second intermission live here from our
Telecast location of Maple Leaf Gardens, and I look forward to your conversation with him. So again, it'll be McCourt in against Sittler, deep in the Detroit end. Toronto has the extra man for still 1 minute. The time remaining in Willie Huber's penalty. Now they face off, won by Sittler. Turnbull in the corner to Lanny McDonald, back to Turnbull to Salming. Borje Salming. He hands it off to Sittler with a shot. Perry Miller blocked it, and Paul Wood sends it down the ice. At the moment, the Wings doing a creditable job of killing off this penalty. 40 seconds remaining. Now Borje Salming moving out again. A left side pass to Lanny McDonald. Here's McDonald trying to work around Larson. Larson took him in along the boards. It came back to Turnbull. In the corner now to Sittler. Darryl Sittler checked there by Larson. It's picked up by McDonald. Back it comes to Salming. Salming handing it off to Turnbull. Turnbull took the shot. Rutherford the save, and it came right to the goal mouth, and Rutherford has grabbed it. And they hold on with Tiger Williams trying to move in to pull it out from under the pads of Jimmy Rutherford, and the Wings took exception to that. 16 seconds remaining in the penalty to Huber.
I'm going to watch this replay and see if this puck did not go up and touch the post. It bounces up there, hits the post, bounces right back to Jimmy Rutherford. And there are more penalties called. Williams is going to be called, along with Perry Miller, by the looks of it, for the little melee out in front of the net. But the big post, goaltender's best friend, come into...
Said this can be costly, too, because that means the Wings are now going to be 2 men short with a face-off in the Toronto.
Here's Turnbull from pretty well from the same angle, Bruce, that he scored his goal, but his shot was missing the net. Jimmy dished it with his goal stick. It hit the post and come right back over to Jimmy Rutherford.
So Williams draws a slashing penalty, and Perry Miller roughing at 16:31. Well, they've given Miller 3 minutes in penalty. You don't believe that one, do you?
Hardly.
16 seconds remaining in the penalty time to Willie Huber, and the crowd started to laugh a little bit, and now they have changed it and given Huber the 2 minutes, and here they're applauding. That's about the most confusing list of penalties we've seen on board in a long time.
The penalty timekeeper is having a rough night down there.
So the Wings are 2 men short. Sittler in against McCourt. McCourt won the draw. A big face-off, and Tommy Bergman slashes it down the ice. Now there are 7 seconds left in Huber's penalty. He gets up and ready to come back on. Moving out now, this is Salming. Over the line into the Detroit zone. Huber's back on. Play goes in behind the Detroit net. Tommy Bergman was knocked down, but here's Stan Leroy. He's got Huber up ahead of him. Stan Leroy's pass to Huber over the line. Took the shot, and Paul Mateer got a piece of that, and it ended up in the crowd. And 1:31 now remaining in the penalty time to Williams and Miller, and both teams are at even strength. We have 3 minutes to go in the second period, and the game is tied at 2-2.
Trying to count the penalties, Bruce. There's been so many. It's been a hard-nosed hockey game. These teams don't like one another by the looks of things. They're running at one another, and a lot of work along the boards where they're getting their sticks up.
I've counted 11 penalties, 3 of them major penalties.
You know, there's a lot of talk that teams bring in bigger players to play here in Toronto because Toronto like to run over top of you. Well, possibly the injuries that have cropped up in the Detroit system help by bringing up a couple big fellas.
Now here moving in onside, going right in, Dan Maloney, and Rutherford came out and stopped him. Maloney, who cut right in on top of him, and Jimmy Rutherford came out and stopped him cold. And Maloney has to be talking to himself. Now Dave Hutchinson in behind his own goal. Maloney made every move. Rutherford just stayed right there with him. Walt McKechnie pinned in along the boards. A puck loose to Dave Hutchinson again. 2.5 minutes to go in the second period of a 2-2 tie here at Maple Leaf Gardens, Toronto. Puck went back into the Detroit zone. Rutherford out of the goal, steering it in behind the net. It'll be stopped in along the boards and kicked loose by Turnbull. Centering pass broken up. It came off to the side of the net. Stan Leroy has it there. Stan Leroy playing it off to Tommy Bergman. Now Tommy playing it out center ice. It bounced over the stick of Huber. Coming back is Turnbull. Turnbull went in over the line too fast. It's offside. The play back out over the Detroit blue line. Well, Sandra Dee has too many fiancés in tomorrow's 8 o'clock movie. Andy Williams is furious while Robert Goulet is amused in I'd Rather Be Rich. It's tomorrow at 8 o'clock on TV 50.
A couple more scores in. New York Rangers have taken a 4-1 lead over Chicago Blackhawks, and Chicago went into this game with 6 straight losses. Washington Capitals and Pittsburgh are 2-2, playing in the third period.
Well, they're going to be a little unhappy in Chicago unless something happens pretty soon. They've been able to get anything moving since that big trade with Atlanta. Each team remains short a man for 20 seconds now. The play off to the side of his own goal and in behind with Borje Salming. Didn't get it out. Larson took the shot and fired it wide. It comes out center ice. Hamel knocked it away to Danny LeBratton. LeBratton steers it on the left side for Nedemansky. He turned it back out center ice. Now Nedemansky. He played it to Danny LeBratton moving in. Here's LeBratton back to Nedemansky with a chance. He took the shot. The save made. LeBratton tried to set up Larson. It's knocked away. The teams are back at full strength. Now we have 1:15 to go in the second period. This is Salming moving out at center ice. Into the Detroit zone. He was slowed up by LeBratton. Picked it up again. Put it out in front, but Reed Larson stopped that. Going after it is LeBratton. A lot of speed coming out of the net. Paul Matier. And Paul Matier cleared it out center ice. Big play by Paul Matier. Now Boutet takes it back in. It went right into the side of the net, or off the side of the net. Larson starts back. I thought I heard a whistle, but not so. Here's Larson coming back. Reed Larson circling in behind the goal. Larson still in control, trying to center. It came out center ice. Well, it's been a strange sort of a period, to put it mildly, and Paul Matier almost lost that. Going in behind his own net is Williams. We have 30 seconds to go. Been a long second period. Now it's Jim Jones. Moves out with a pass to Boutet. Here now is Boutet again. Boutet clearing it in behind the goal. It'll be taken there by Jimmy Rutherford. He leaves it for Larson on the left side to Woods. That was knocked away. Kept in by Jones. And 7 seconds to go in the period. That puck took a crazy bounce off the glass. It does come to center ice. That'll use up the rest of the time, and the second period ends tied at 2-2, the Detroit Red Wings and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Red Kelly is going to be joining Sid right after the replay we have right here that I want you to talk about this.
Well, how often do you see a goaltender come out beyond the blue line to make a play, but Palmetier beat LeBratton to the puck.
Against probably the fastest man on the Red Wing roster. So the end of 2 periods of play. We'll be back to Maple Leaf Gardens in just a moment.
Smiles along with you.
Honey? Hi, sweetheart.
She's going to be just fine.
Good.
She's getting good care. The doctor's with her right now.
Yeah. Well, at least we don't have to worry about paying the doctor bills anymore.
Huh?
The doctor participates with Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
When your doctor is a participating physician in Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Michigan, and you're also a member, the doctor accepts the Blue Cross and Blue Shield payment as payment in full for covered services.
Sure glad he belongs.
Honey, I'm sure glad we belong.
It's good to belong.
Ah, the endless possibilities of Peschke meats and your imagination. Imagine putting crisp slices of that sweet, lean Peschke bacon on a toasted English muffin. Add a poached egg, a slice of American cheese, broiled, and you've got Peschke Bacon Benedict. Your imagination makes it possible. Peschke makes it perfect.
Peschke makes it perfect, 'cause Peschke really cares.
I think we have a transmission problem here. You pilot, John!
At AMCO, we'll put you and your car back together again. We test drive your car with you in it. We examine the pan with you watching, so you know the job we recommend is the right one. At AMCO, we'll put you and your car back together again.
I got you a new set of keys.
Red, one of the all-time Red Wing favorites, Red Kelly, and so nice to see you.
Nice to be here, Sid.
Listen, let's just go back and reminisce. I can't believe it. 32 years ago, you turned pro in Detroit.
32. Well, in 1947, it doesn't seem like 30
it's not that. No, yeah, 32 years.
Yeah, 1947, that's 32 years, right.
All right, can you recall some of the players that were just starting at that time?
Well, I remember Sid Abel, but he wasn't just starting. He'd been there for a while. Gordie Howe had arrived the year before. Ted Lindsay, I think maybe a year or two before that. Marty Pavlich. Terry Sawchuk came in a year after that. Harry Lumley was our goaltender. Those were the young guys that were there at that time.
How about Mitro Presti? Was he?
Mitro came a little later, Sid, on a trade with Chicago Blackhawks, and we acquired Mitro, I guess maybe 2 or 3 years later.
All right, Red, we'll come back and talk about your days in Detroit and here in Toronto and out on the coast and whatnot. I just wanted to get your comments on the first 40 minutes of the hockey game here tonight.
Well, I've enjoyed the game. I think it's one of the more exciting games. I think Detroit plays a very pleasing style of hockey. They make some pretty good plays out there. I think sometimes they could move the puck a little faster than what they do and use their other players. But when they do that, then they're really effective. And I think that Palmateer's been kind of holding maybe Toronto in the game here tonight. And as he's been doing maybe 90% of the games this year, he's been playing really sensational for him. His contract's coming up for renewal, I understand, so maybe that has something to do.
That has a lot to do with it, I believe. Red, the fact that you played for so many years in Detroit, then finished your career playing here and had just fantastic years here with Toronto, do you have a feeling, I'm going to put you on the spot, do you have a feeling towards Detroit because you started there, or here to Toronto?
Well, I know players on both sides. And I had Errol Thompson, and I watched young McCord, and also young Rutherford played goal for me in Pittsburgh. And Lanny McDonald, I'm very good friends with Lanny, and Darryl Sittler, even Tiger Williams. So I have friends on both sides. I think I'm pulling for Detroit tonight, as a matter of fact. I don't know whether I should say that or not, but I enjoy the style of hockey, basically, that I think Detroit's trying to play, more so than I do the game that Toronto is playing. I think that they're playing a more exciting game, and when I go to a game, I like to feel, get a little excited. I like to see a play that's going to raise me off in my, the seat. Right. And I feel that with Detroit. I did last year when I saw a game when they played Buffalo, and they beat them 6-0, and there was electricity in the Red Wing stadium like there used to be that I can recall, and that's what I think hockey is all about.
Well, it certainly is, Red. Now, the fact that this is I think your second year away from the hockey wars after coaching many years, do you really miss it, or do you feel that you are happy to be a citizen of the world?
Well, I haven't really missed it, so maybe I'm just beginning a little this year. I was a little under the weather there for a little while, and I'm really starting to feel a little better now. And I start to miss it a little bit more now than I ever did before, yes.
Red, we're going to come back and talk about what you're doing today and how you're keeping busy. But first, let's pause for this message.
How does the Bank of the Commonwealth help me? Well, I got my checking and my savings there, but more important, when I need help, they really understand me. I mean, this guy here, he's studying law, and this bum, he's into medicine. I mean, every old man wants his kid to do better than he did. So, between my back and my bank, my kid's got a future. Hey, Doc, start operating.
Trying hardest to help. That's the Bank of the Commonwealth.
My son, the judge.
I'll be wearing a beige dress, Clark.
I'll be in a brown AMC Concord DL.
Ever wonder why American Motors Concord is such a success? Value.
Clark?
Home.
Because the AMC Concord DL is a compact that comes with its luxury extras at no extra charge.
Clark?
Tony.
Luxuries like crushed velour seats, digital clock, Landau roof, and a smooth, quiet ride.
Clark?
You found the Concord.
Couldn't miss it.
1979 AMC Concord, the new American success story.
All the news about energy hits home right here.
Home heating oil supplies are tight these days. The people who make Amoco heating oil are doing what they can to help keep you supplied with fuel.
But meanwhile, you can help by turning down the thermostat a few degrees. If you lower it 5 degrees at night, you could use about 5% less fuel. The more heating oil you conserve now, the more there'll be to go around.
My guest is Red Kelly, former Red Wing star, former Maple Leaf star, coach in L.A., Pittsburgh, and here in Toronto. And Red, you don't look that old. You look as though you could play. If some of the old-timers are watching back in Detroit right now, they'll be saying, Sid, talk Red into coming back and playing with the old-timers because they have quite an organization over there.
I understand they do. In fact, they have an old-timers team here as well, and I know they have some big games, but I've heard a lot about the Detroit old-timers. They tell me they do pretty well.
Good. All right, Red, just what is Red Kelly doing to stay active these days now that you're out of hockey?
Well, I have my own business, computerized aircraft maintenance programming for corporate jets. We program all their maintenance, called CAMP. I still stick with hockey a little bit.
Good.
It's Camp Systems of Canada Limited, and we program the maintenance for corporate jets really all over the world. So that's my company here in Canada. I'm affiliated with Camp Systems Incorporated out of Long Island, New York. So it keeps me fairly busy. And the last couple of days, I've been involved in an expropriation case up in my hometown of Simcoe. They've expropriated some land, and we didn't think that they gave us the right price. So I've been in court for about 3 days now.
Would you still have the farm up in Simcoe? I know that when you were playing for the Red Wings, we used to stop every once in a while, and your mom and dad were so gracious to all the players. You're still up that way.
We still have it, and my mother is still doing the cooking that she used to do and still feeding all kinds of people, and I think she's turned about 80. She's getting up there, but she's still most active, and my dad is 83, about 83 now, and he's still active. So, yeah, we're still there. My brother runs the farm, and we're still going along.
Red, let's just get back to this hockey today. There's a lot of talk in the Toronto papers, and especially in Canada, that we don't hear so much of in Detroit about the possible merger. I'd like to hear just what your thoughts are with World Hockey and the National League, and I guess they're going to meet Friday in Chicago to discuss it all.
Well, I've heard some rumors that they're going to, it looks like there's pressure being put on to merge with the WHA, World Hockey Association, because of the Canadian cities and because there's only now really Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver in the National Hockey League, and they're sort of saying hockey's moved over to the States and we don't have any Canadian representation. So there was a unanimous vote in the House of Commons today to prod the National Hockey League governors to bring in the WHA, especially the 3 Canadian cities. So there's a little pressure being exerted from that end. And if they don't merge, there's going to be, I understand that they're going to be after some of the Toronto players whose contracts are coming up, and Palmateer's one, and maybe Salmi is not too far off there either. So Toronto could have to put out a lot of dough to keep these players unless there is a merger.
Well, I'm hoping they merge. I would like to see them get down to one league and cut out some of the players that possibly don't belong in the National League, because there are a lot of real great young hockey players over in World Hockey. I think it would make a better league. I just couldn't foresee the system.
She's going to be just fine.
Good.
She's getting good care. The doctor's with her right now.
Yeah. Well, at least we don't have to worry about paying the doctor bills anymore.
Huh?
The doctor participates with Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
When your doctor is a participating physician in Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Michigan, and you're also a member, the doctor accepts the Blue Cross and Blue Shield payment as payment in full for covered services.
Sure glad he belongs.
Honey, I'm sure glad we belong.
It's good to belong.
Ah, the endless possibilities of Peschke meats and your imagination. Imagine putting crisp slices of that sweet, lean Peschke bacon on a toasted English muffin. Add a poached egg, a slice of American cheese, broil, and you've got Peschke Bacon Benedict. Your imagination makes it possible. Peschke makes it perfect.
Peschke makes it perfect, 'cause Peschke really cares.
I think we have a transmission problem here. You pilot, John!
At AMCO, we'll put you and your car back together again. We test drive your car with you in it. We examine the pan with you watching, so you know the job we recommend is the right one. At AMCO, we'll put you and your car back together again.
I got you a new set of keys.
Red, one of the all-time Red Wing favorites, Red Kelly, and so nice to see you.
Nice to be here, Sid.
Listen, let's just go back and reminisce. I can't believe it. 32 years ago, you turned pro in Detroit.
32. Well, in 1947, it doesn't seem like
it's not
30
that.
years.
No, yeah, 32 years.
Yeah, 1947, that's 32 years, right.
All right, can you recall some of the players that were just starting at that time?
Well, I remember Sid Abel, but he wasn't just starting.
No.
He'd been there for a while. Gordie Howe had arrived the year before. Ted Lindsay, I think maybe a year or two before that. Marty Pavlich. Terry Sawchuk came in a year after that. Harry Lumley was our goaltender. Those were the young guys that were there at that time.
How about Mitro Presti? Was he?
Mitro came a little later, Sid, on a trade with Chicago Blackhawks, and we acquired Mitro, I guess maybe 2 or 3 years later.
All right, Red, we'll come back and talk about your days in Detroit and here in Toronto and out on the coast and whatnot. I just wanted to get your comments on the first 40 minutes of the hockey game here tonight.
Well, I've enjoyed the game. I think it's one of the more exciting games. I think Detroit plays a very pleasing style of hockey. They make some pretty good plays out there. I think sometimes they could move the puck a little faster than what they do and use their other players. But when they do that, then they're really effective. And I think that Palmateer's been kind of holding maybe Toronto in the game here tonight. And as he's been doing maybe 90% of the games this year, he's been playing really sensational for him. His contract's coming up for renewal, I understand, so maybe that has something to do.
That has a lot to do with it, I believe. Red, the fact that you played for so many years in Detroit, then finished your career playing here and had just fantastic years here with Toronto, do you have a feeling, I'm going to put you on the spot, do you have a feeling towards Detroit because you started there, or here to Toronto?
Well, I know players on both sides. You know, I had Errol Thompson, and I watched young McCord, and also young Rutherford played goal for me in Pittsburgh. And Lanny McDonald, I'm very good friends with Lanny, and said Darryl Sittler, even Tiger Williams. So I have friends on both sides. I think I'm pulling for Detroit tonight. As a matter of fact, I don't know whether I should say that or not, but I enjoy the style of hockey, basically that I think Detroit's trying to play more so than I do the game that Toronto is playing. I think that they're playing a more exciting game, and when I go to a game, I like to feel, get a little excited. I like to see a play that's going to raise me off my, the seat. Right. And I feel that with Detroit. I did last year when I saw a game when they played Buffalo, and they beat them 6-0, and there was electricity in the Red Wing stadium like there used to be that I could recall, and that's what I think hockey is all about.
Well, it certainly is, Red. Now, the fact that this is I think your second year away from the hockey wars after coaching many years.
Yes.
Do you really miss it, or do you feel that you are happy to be a citizen of the world?
Well, I haven't really missed it, so maybe I'm just beginning a little this year. I was a little under the weather there for a little while, and I'm really starting to feel a little better now. And I start to miss it a little bit more now than I ever did before, yeah.
Red, we're going to come back and talk about what you're doing today and how you're keeping busy. But first, let's pause for this message.
How does the Bank of the Commonwealth help me? Well, I got my checking and my savings there, but more important, when I need help,
They really understand me. I mean, this guy here, he's studying law, and this bum, oh, he's into medicine. I mean, every old man wants his kid to do better than he did. So, between my back and my bank, my kid's got a future. Hey, Doc, start operating.
Trying hardest to help. That's the Bank of the Commonwealth.
My son, the judge.
I'll be wearing a beige dress, Clark.
I'll be in a brown AMC Concord DL.
Ever wonder why American Motors Concord is such a success? Value.
Clark?
Home.
Because the AMC Concord DL is a compact that comes with its luxury extras at no extra charge.
Clark?
Tony.
Luxuries like crushed velour seats, digital clock, landau roof, and a smooth, quiet ride.
Clark?
You found the Concord.
Couldn't miss it.
1979 AMC Concord, the new American success story.
All the news about energy hits home right here. Home heating oil supplies are tight these days. The people who make Amoco heating oil are doing what they can to help keep you supplied with fuel. But meanwhile, you can help by turning down the thermostat a few degrees. If you lower it 5 degrees at night, you could use about 5% less fuel. The more heating oil you conserve now, the more there'll be to go around.
My guest is Red Kelly, former Red Wing star, former Maple Leaf star, coach in L.A., Pittsburgh, and here in Toronto. And Red, you don't look that old. You look as though you could play. If some of the old-timers are watching back in Detroit right now, they'll be saying, Sid, talk Red into coming back and playing with the old-timers because they have quite an organization over there.
I understand they do. In fact, they have an old-timers team here as well, and I know they have some big games, but I've heard a lot about the Detroit old-timers, and they tell me they do pretty well.
Good. All right, Red, just what is Red Kelly doing to stay active these days now that you're out of hockey?
Well, I have my own business, computerized aircraft maintenance programming for corporate jets. We program all their maintenance, called CAMP. I still stick with hockey a little bit.
Good.
It's Camp Systems of Canada Limited, and we program the maintenance for corporate jets really all over the world. So that's my company here in Canada. I'm affiliated with Camp Systems Incorporated out of Long Island, New York. So it keeps me fairly busy. And the last couple of days, I've been involved in an expropriation case up in my hometown of Simcoe. They've expropriated some land, and we didn't think that they gave us the right price. So I've been in court for about 3 days now.
Would you still have a farm up in Simcoe? I know that when you were playing for the Red Wings, we used to stop every once in a while, and your mom and dad were so gracious to all the players. You're still up that way.
We still have it, and my mother is still doing the cooking that she used to do and still feeding all kinds of people, and I think she's turned about 80. She's getting up there, but she's still the most active, and my dad is 83, about 83 now, and he's still active. So, yeah, we're still there. My brother runs the farm, and we're still going along.
Red, let's just get back to this hockey today. There's a lot of talk in the Toronto papers, and especially in Canada, that we don't hear so much of in Detroit about the possible merger. I'd like to hear just what your thoughts are with World Hockey and the National League, and I guess they're going to meet Friday in Chicago to discuss it all.
Well, I've heard some rumors that they're going to, it looks like there's pressure being put on to merge with the WHA, World Hockey Association, because of the Canadian cities and because there's only now really Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver in the National Hockey League, and they're sort of saying hockey's moved over to the States and we don't have any Canadian representation. So there was a unanimous vote in the House of Commons today to prod the National Hockey League governors to bring in the WHA, especially the 3 Canadian cities. So there's a little pressure being exerted from that end. And if they don't merge, there's going to be, I understand that they're going to be after some of the Toronto players whose contracts are coming up, and Palmateer's one, and maybe Salmi is not too far off there either. So Toronto could have to put out a lot of dough to keep these players unless there is a merger.
Well, I'm hoping they merge. I would like to see them get down to one league and cut out some of the players that possibly don't belong in the National League, because there are a lot of real great young hockey players over in World Hockey. I think it would make a better league. I just couldn't foresee the system that they mentioned in the papers today. They said that the World Hockey teams would be allowed to protect 2 goaltenders and 2 other players. That seems pretty rough for new teams coming in and then, say, having to play against the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because they're going to come into your building and you want a good game. I think the people are interested in seeing a good hockey game, and if you're going to bring in teams that don't have a good enough players to compete, then you're going to be in trouble. And if they rob those teams, this is what they're doing. They say they want the players that the WHA have taken from their roster somewhere along the line, they want them returned to the teams, and that will make those teams too weak.
Well, the fact that if they did bring them in, I understand it's Quebec, Winnipeg, Edmonton, the three Canadian cities, and Hartford as an American city.
Yes.
And there's talk out of Boston that the owner of the Boston club will sue the National League, if you can believe what's in the papers.
Right.
That they will sue the National League because of Hartford being so close to Boston.
And he wants indemnification, I guess is what I understand. I don't know. Yes, that's right. And I guess he feels he should be paid a lot of money for those rights. And I don't know what their proposals are. I don't know that. Apparently it's not included in the terms, so I guess he may wind up suing him then.
Red, I know time is running out, but I have to ask one question. Family-wise, what do you have for a family?
Oh, I have four children. My wife, Casey, a girl, Patrick, a boy, Con, a boy, and Kitty, another girl, and they're all skating.
Beautiful. Thanks ever so much, Red, for stopping by. So nice seeing you.
Good. It's been a pleasure.
Stop
really,
by in Detroit and say hello one of these days.
We'll do that.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Now let's go back to Bruce Martin.
And what a pleasure it's been to see two of the greatest of the Detroit Red Wings together again, Red Kelly and Sid Abel. Red received from Panasonic a 6-band radio, including FM, AM, and public service band. The portable unit also lets you monitor audio of your favorite television program with rich, full sound from a 4-inch speaker. Information radio from Panasonic. Well, after 2 periods of play here at Maple Leaf Gardens, the score, Detroit 2 and Toronto 2, and we'll be ready for the start of the 3rd period in just a moment.
When you own a Trans van, you have to get used to all the room inside, like the carpeted dining area with thick cushioned seats and removable table. The sleeping area has large, comfortable sofa beds covered with stylish fabrics, ample closet space, too, and the stand-up kitchen has an icebox, stainless steel sink, roomy drawers, and plenty of cupboards. The versatile Trans van from Champion. Say maybe your next car shouldn't be a car.
See the new Trans Van at H&W Motor Homes and Mr. Motor Home.
Give me a smile with everything on it, and I'll pass it on. So give me a Coke when you smile, and I promise to pass it along. I'm gonna pass it along. The world needs a break when it's tired and thirsty. Coke and a smile is how it should be. Coke and side, Coca-Cola has life.
Hello, I'm Charo. I like to talk about Mako Auto Painting and Body Works because we are both body experts.
That's right, Charles. You take a body that comes in like this, a major collision job. At Mako, it goes out like that. We're collision experts at Mako.
Isn't he looking good? Get your body made beautiful at Mako.
There are hundreds of Mako locations coast to coast and in Canada. Look for the one nearest you.
Parts Plus, the sign of quality parts, competitively priced, plus the kind of service you can count on. Protect your car from rain, sun, snow, detergent, and road grime with Turtle Extra Liquid for the hardest wax job ever from Turtle Wax. Now just $3.79 for a 16-ounce bottle at your nearest participating Parts Plus auto store. Look for auto stores displaying this sign. Parts Plus, for automotive name brands you trust.
After 2 periods, the Detroit Red Wings have outshot Toronto Maple Leafs 26-15. 14 shots in the 2nd period for Detroit and 10 for Toronto. Sid, the penalties we've said have been very confusing here tonight, the timekeeping, and we understand between periods that the regular penalty timekeeper is not in attendance at the hockey game tonight. And Ace Bailey, an old-time name in hockey, is handling that chore, and he said his job because there were a total of 28 minutes in penalties in the 1st period. There were another 11 penalties for 31 minutes in the 2nd period, and most of them overlapping. That's a total of 59 penalties, 59 minutes after 2 periods of play, and some confusion.
Ace Bailey is one of the real great names in the National League, Bruce. Many, many years ago, Ace Bailey was knocked down by Eddie Shore and rushed to the hospital, and there were several weeks that he just hung, whether living or not, and he's come back. They had a benefit game for him back many, many years ago, and he has been working here in the capacity for a good many years as an official of some sort, goal judges and whatnot. Billy Clement sitting back in Detroit, if he's watching, will be happy. He'll realize that there are other people that have to run the clock and have problems.
We finally figured out, when I figured that Reed Larson should be back on the ice, he still had his major penalty overlapping, but the Wings had not put another player in the penalty box to come out when his minors were over, and consequently what should have been a power play was not for about 15 seconds when suddenly Andre Saint Laurent came off the Detroit bench to give them the extra man. So the score tied 2-2, and both teams are at full strength. Now the Toronto Maple Leafs bring the play out to center ice. That's Walt McKechnie clearing it over the line, going in offside. Well, Saganuk, Rocky Saganuk, who has gained great favor here in a short time with Maple Leaf fans. The Red Wings had a first period goal, a power play effort by Reed Larson. Gardner got it back 48 seconds into the second period. Turnbull scored a power play goal at 3:48, and then Dale McCord on a power play at 6:01. And the teams are at full strength with the penalty box empty one of the few times. Now from the face-off, that's John Anderson. He was checked by Errol Thompson. Puck goes back into the Toronto end. Wings make a quick player change now as Woods and Saint Laurent come out. Salming drove it right to Jimmy Rutherford. Rutherford drops it off for Paul Woods. Woods over on the right side. It was too far for Hillworth. Came down the ice. Heading after it, J.P. LeBlanc and Salming. Salming gets there first. Steers it in behind his own goal. Now Hillworth replaced on the line by Bolduc. Puck knocked away by LeBlanc. J.P. turning it back to the Toronto line. Instead sends it back to Tommy Bergman, who fires it into the corner. Play was offside. Bolduc was in over the line. So the Wings out shooting Toronto 12-5 in the first period, 14-10 in the second. The game tied at 2-2. We're short of a minute played here in period number 3. And Saturday afternoon, the Boston Gardens, the Red Wings and the Boston Bruins will be with you here on TV 50 at 1 o'clock. And Sunday afternoon at Olympia Stadium in Detroit, these same two teams, Toronto and Detroit, at Olympia. That'll be a 4 o'clock game. And if what we've seen here in 2 periods is any indication, that'll be a fun 60 minutes.
Yes, it certainly will. These teams really go after one another.
Now Turnbull sends it back into his own zone to Hutchinson. It comes back to Turnbull. He played it ahead. Darryl Sittler takes it over the line, hands it off to Lanny McDonald. Rutherford stops that. Here now is Willie Huber, a long pass center ice to Saint Laurent. Dropped it back. Woods picks it up over the line with a shot. That went way wide. Huber stopped it at the right point. He drilled that one, and it deflected out in front of the net, way up into the crowd. So with the score tied at 2-2, we'll be back in just a moment.
My Jeep pickup challenges you guys to take that hill.
Easy, you got it.
Your automatic four-wheel drive pickups against my Jeep with Quadra-Track automatic four-wheel drive.
Normal automatic?
Right. The Chevy's losing traction. The Ford's spinning its wheels.
Hey, the Dodge is slipping too. Hey, look at the Jeep pickup climb.
No trouble at all.
Gotta admit it. Under these conditions, Jeep's got the best traction.
And best traction means best pickup, huh, guys? See a Jeep dealer for test results that prove who's got the best traction.
Walter McKechnie. He goes in against LeBlanc. Play came back to Ian Turnbull. Now Turnbull turning it out to center ice. Play broken up by Perry Miller. This is Paul Woods. Handing it off to Larson right at the Detroit line. He played it to Woods. Woods was going to the bench for a player change. Came back into the play. But it's deep in behind the Detroit goal with Miller in after it. That'll be stopped by Hutchinson. Here's Hutchinson moving in. He fired the shot, and Rutherford knocked it away. Big move. Now it's Danny Maloney putting it out in front. Larson just did leak it through to Woods, who scoops it out to center ice. Now Hutchinson clearing it in behind the Detroit goal again. Wings trying to get a player change. This is Reed Larson. Larson right out in front of his own goal. Knocked away from him by Dan Maloney, who steers it in behind the net again, and Saint Laurent. He knocked away from him by Turnbull. Here's Turnbull with a shot. Rutherford stopped that on the short side. Now Perry Miller's pass skips off Woods to center ice. Turnbull failed to get to it. It's loose still in the center ice zone. Tipped ahead. San Laurent had a stick on it. And finally, it'll be Turnbull with it, as plays a little ragged right now. Moving out with it, Ian Turnbull. Now Turnbull, a long pass, broken up by Perry Miller. Leafs wrap it back into the Detroit end. John Hillworth goes back after it. Hillworth played it. Larson going the opposite direction, so San Laurent takes it. San Laurent's pass broken up. John Anderson into the corner after it. A chance now for Burroughs. And it was Hillworth that came back and deflected his shot up into the crowd. Well, we mentioned it. His 36th Stanley Cup game. The Wings beat the Montreal Maroons 1-0 after 176 minutes and 30 seconds of playing time. Who was the goalkeeper? How many saves did he make in the game? Well, a very
good friend of yours, and of course a very good friend of mine, Normie Smith, now retired down in Florida. He turned aside 90 Montreal shots to earn a shutout. That's just about unbelievable. 90 shots.
A record that's never been approached for the amount of time in shutting out a team in one game. That's Salming with a shot. Rutherford deflects that away. Now J.P. LeBlanc clearing it into the corner, going after it. Terry Harper knocked away from him. Rutherford cleared it over on the left side. Anderson tipped it. J.P. LeBlanc sent it to the line, and again not out. Here's Sittler with it. His pass broken up by Jean Hamel. Paul Woods in the corner now to Harper. Terry Harper. His pass knocked out to center ice, picked up by LeBlanc. J.P. took the long shot. Paul Matier, no trouble with that. Now it's Sittler turning in behind his own goal. Left it right there, so Salming comes after it. A 2-2 tie. We have 16.5 minutes to go in the third period. Lanny McDonald, center ice for Toronto. McDonald, a long shot, steered off to the side of the net. Rutherford holding on to it, now dumped it into the corner. It's played by Dale McCourt, but not out. Picked up by McCourt himself. Now McCourt trying to work around from Anderson. Couldn't do it. Harper follows up. Terry Harper scoops it to the line, and it's still inside the Detroit zone, held to the boards, and they whistle it down. The play will stay right along the Detroit blue line.
We have some Detroit fans over here again tonight. Surprising the number of people that are following the Wings. Denise Mullins wants us to say hi to Bonnie, Mary, Pat, Joe, and Leo back in Detroit. And a gentleman, Larry Wingate from Dearborn, wants to say hi to all his family and friends back in the Dearborn area.
This the 71st game of the season for the Red Wings. 9 left after tonight. The Wings in Boston Saturday, Toronto right back in Detroit on Sunday. 2 games out on the West Coast at Vancouver Tuesday, Los Angeles Wednesday, and then the Kings back in Detroit. Week from Saturday. Now with both teams still at full strength. The pass coming out center ice to Paul Gardner. Over on the right side, Ron Ellis. He was slowed up by LeBratton. Danny LeBratton tried to work it ahead, went after it. Now he's got Nedemansky and McCourt over the line. McCourt going in. McCourt was stopped by Paul Matier. McCourt took a kick at it and missed it. And 3 of the Leafs come back. Now Ellis ahead to Gardner. Gardner over the line, stopped by Huber. Davey Williams picks it up. Williams holds it. Played it back to Quenneville. Off to the side of the Detroit goal. Was lost there. And then Jimmy Rutherford came out. Couldn't make the save. There's no goal. They have waved it off. Let's watch this again. The puck in the net, but referee Hood waved it off.
Had he not reached up for the puck, it probably would have come down in behind Jimmy Rutherford, but he puts a stick right up over his shoulders and knocks it down from high in the air. Watch this now. Bats it right there. He's already hit it.
Well, a good call by referee Bruce Hood, backed up by the replay. And the Leafs really didn't give him much argument.
Well, there was no doubt about that. He had a stick well up over his shoulder and knocked it down. It was a play where Detroit, he just knocked it from well up over top of the net. You'd think he was a ball player, and if there are any scouts for baseball teams watching, they could be interested in how well he made contact.
When Paul Gardner scored the first goal of the game, when he skated in on Rutherford, who made the save, that puck was up very close to shoulder height when he wrapped it in. So Dale McCourt, Nedemansky, and LeBratton stay up front with Tommy Bergman and Willie Huber. Gardner has Williams on one wing and Ellis on the other for Toronto. Leafs win the draw. Turnbull. A dumping shot off to the side of the Detroit goal. Going in after it now is Tommy Bergman. Now Tommy flipped it out on the right side. The pass intercepted. There's Gardner with a shot, and he fired it wide. Nedemansky was almost victimized. LeBratton pulled down, and here coming back in is Quenneville. Quenneville, he played it beyond Gardner. Davey Williams came in after it, hit the side of the goal with it. Gardner put it out in front, but here now the Wings break 3 men out. Netamansky over the line. Goes after the puck to McCourt with a shot, and Paul Matier came up with a big save on Dale McCourt. Puck came to the line, dumped out center ice by Gardner, and back after it, the Wings McCourt. Dale McCourt handing it off now to Tommy Bergman. Now Willie Huber at the Detroit line. Huber was checked there by Gardner. Tommy Bergman goes back after it. Cleared it out to center ice. San Laurent has it there. Hillworth down the right side. John Hillworth with Burroughs back. Hillworth a shot, and that just missed. Here's San Laurent holding it in, playing it in. It took a crazy bounce, but right out in front. Errol Thompson couldn't get to it. Larson kept it in. That puck went high in the air, and Burroughs goes after it. And now the puck taking crazy bounces as Burroughs goes in behind his own goal. Played it ahead, didn't get it out. Larson held it in, hands it off to San Laurent. Andre San Laurent hauled down by Burroughs. The play goes in behind the Toronto net with Salming in after it. 14 minutes to go in the third period of a 2-2 tie. Salming moving into the Detroit zone with a shot that went in behind the Detroit net, and Errol Thompson went in after it. Playing it into the corner to Hillworth. He lost it to Maloney. The two of them bump in along the boards. Here's McKechnie with it. His pass out, tipped away. Burroughs fired the shot wide. That's Salming. He and San Laurent bump. And now they have the sticks up high, and Danny Maloney moved in and pinned San Laurent along the boards as it all started between Salming and San Laurent.
And Salming is the one that swung his stick. He is definitely going. St. Laurent stood back hoping he wouldn't get a penalty, but he'll probably get one anyway. But Salming was the one that swung his stick, made contact.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to call penalties. Bruce Hood, if he is, he's going to come over to the penalty box and whistle Salming off. And I don't believe San Laurent, at least he's made no move in yet. So while he goes in, we'll pause now for this message.
It's special.
That looks really nice and cool.
It's special. It's the best special.
Looks refreshing. I can tell you, it's got a Labatt's taste.
Yeah.
And it's a real Canadian taste.
Has it got body?
That's it. It's got body.
It's special. Taste the best special.
And yet it has less than 99 calories in a bottle.
Taste the best special.
First penalty of this third period. The 11th penalty to Toronto in the game. The Red Wings have had 9. Boyer Salming goes off for slashing at 6:21. Detroit has the extra man. Now Turnbull fires it along the boards, and it'll go in behind the Detroit net. Rutherford stopping it there for Willie Huber. 2-2 tie. Now Detroit with a power play chance. Willie Huber coming out rather slowly, hands it off to Perry Miller. Here's Miller moving it out center ice. Larson's up on the right wing. Puck bounced into the corner. Jones took it along the boards, didn't get it out. San Laurent stopped it at the line. Andre San Laurent faked the shot, moves in, hands it off to Willie Huber. He fires it. Big save by Paul Matier, and the rebound off the goaltender's stick all the way back to the Detroit line. Now San Laurent, Willie Huber ahead to Reed Larson. Larson over on the left side. San Laurent was heading for the bench, instead plays the puck, now gives it back to Huber. Dale McCourt comes on. Here now is Perry Miller, back to Huber. Willie Huber just dumps it in along the boards. Paul Matier will stop it in behind his own net. Boutet missed it there. It's picked off now by Dale McCourt. Here's McCourt back now to Perry Miller, off to McCourt. McCourt right out in front. LeBratton scores. Danny LeBratton, the power play goal, and the Wings lead it now 3-2.
A big goal to score. A mix-up behind the net, and Perry Miller got the puck back out, but a terrific pass across right the open goal mouth over to Danny LeBratton. He had no problems. He had the empty net to throw it in and puts the Wings ahead. But Palmatier made a bad clearing play behind his own net, then run into his own player. The play comes across to LeBratton. Look where Palmatier is. LeBratton has the whole net.
McCourt and Miller draw the assists on the goal. Miller could almost get a double assist on that one. He had a Toronto player all tied up at the same time.
Well, he tied up Big Hutchison, I guess it is. They made a miscue behind their own net. It was their own fault. Dale McCourt went in, picked up the puck then, walked out, found LeBratton standing all by himself, made a perfect pass across the goal mouth, had Palmatier over on one side.
Captain Darrell Sittler is having words with referee Bruce Hood at center ice. The Wings lead with 3 power play goals in the game. Sid, is that not 3 in a row where Detroit has scored at least 3 power play goals?
3 games in a row. 3 in Chicago, 3 at home against Chicago, and 3 again here tonight.
Now the Leafs move out of their own zone. It was LeBratton from McCord and Miller at 7:27. Puck held in by Sittler, came back toward the line. Lanny McDonald's bouncing pass. Sittler into the corner with Harper, put it right out in front. That's Salming who held it in. Lanny McDonald centering pass. Hamel bumped into him. Hamel lost his stick. Now it's Darryl Sittler with it. Sittler back on the line to Burroughs. Burroughs with a shot. Rutherford the save. And the puck came loose to J.P. LeBlanc. And LeBlanc cleared it ahead. Lanny McDonald was down on his knees on the ice just staring at the official. Paul Mateer juggled that a little bit, then cleared it on the left side to Williams. Tiger Williams winding up in front of his net, then turning in behind it. 11:40 to go. The Wings lead it 3-2. Now Salming. Salming playing it back into the Detroit zone in behind the Red Wing goal. Rutherford played it to the corner. Sittler tipped it away there. Bolduc has it. Danny Bolduc trying to work it out. Does with a pass to Woods. Here's Paul Woods coming out center ice. Got it to the line. That's all. Salming stopped him there. J.P. LeBlanc bumped into Salming. Pulled him down. And the crowd again is on referee Bruce Hood. And so is the Toronto bench. LeBlanc back in. Dumped the puck right to the net. Paul Mateer steering it into the corner. Williams goes in after it. Now Williams in behind his own goal. The Wings lead it 3-2. Tiger Williams comes out center ice, shooting it in behind the Detroit net. Rutherford stops it there for Tommy Bergman. Bergman was spun around, puck kicked out, but coming after it now is Saint Laurent. He played it out center ice. Salming will take it. 10 minutes, 40 seconds to go in the third period. Puck stolen away by Saint Laurent. Bolduc coming up with him. Here's Saint Laurent with a shot. The save made, and Bolduc scores on the rebound. And now it's 4-2, and the Red Wings are ahead by 2 goals.
You've got to give Danny Bolduc credit for this. He just outraced Saganuk in for the loose puck. Saganuk didn't cover him. St. Laurent took a shot. Palmatier made the save. Puck bounced over to the open side, and Danny Bolduc with his speed just beat Saganuk to the play. There's Bolduc going in. Saganuk not covering him. And he throws it in the empty net. A big goal for the Wings. And Bolduc is a player that is scoring goals.
That's his 15th.
15th goal in about 40 games. Here's the play where the rebound comes right back to Bolduc.
That would have been interesting, too, because it was a goaltender's stick. Paul Mateer all but threw his stick toward Bolduc when he let the shot go. Now it's McKechnie moving out. Coming out center ice. Played in back of the Detroit net. Rutherford cleared it over on the left side. Kenville kept it in. That's Maloney taking a shove from Tommy Bergman. Errol Thompson gets into it. They hold it in along the boards. It was dug away. A shot right to the net by McKechnie. And that's cleared off by Jimmy Rutherford. And Dan Maloney really made a run after Tommy Bergman was doing some shoving out in front of the goal, and Maloney came in from the side and made a run at the whole group of them. And referee Bruce Hood stands back and looks at it. Willie Huber and Maloney.
That's who Maloney wants to get after, is Willie Huber, and I'm sure Willie Huber will handle himself. He's 6'4", weighs 220 pounds.
And I think, again, referee Bruce Hood is going to call penalties. Maloney and Huber went off earlier in the second period of the hockey game for slashing, but Maloney picked up 5 and Huber 2 at that time. They go in now. We'll be back to see what they get this time after we pause for this message.
We're Fred Drendel, Lincoln Mercury. Before anything else, that means we're people who care.
The most important thing to us is our customer. Not just the product we sell them originally, but the service after the sale. We want them to help us and refer business to us, and without this referral, we're nothing. Our customer means everything.
On Oakland near Telegraph in Pontiac.
So the 2 players pick up minor penalties, Huber for high sticking and Maloney for charging, with the time of the penalties 9:55. The Wings lead at 4-2. 10:05 to play in the third period. Face off to the right of the Detroit goal. Dale McCord in against McKechnie. Puck came back to Quenneville. He's tied up by Harper. Tommy Bergman goes in after it. Bergman dumped it ahead for Errol Thompson. He and Turnbull Here's Thompson over the line, and Turnbull slowed him up, took him off the puck. Quenneville comes back after it. Now 3 of the elite start back. At center ice, McKechnie. Over on the right side, Saginaw failed to get to it. And the pass from San Laurent didn't get through. It's still loose in the Detroit zone. Saginaw turned with it, fired it wide of the Detroit goal. Tommy Bergman will take it off the boards. Now Tommy played it over on the opposite side for San Laurent. Andre San Laurent, he's slowed up by Saginaw. Saginaw took it away, and it's taken now by McKechnie. It's dumped away from Turnbull. He retrieves it, sends it back to Quenneville. Now Quenneville missed the one pass, picked it up himself, pulled up at the line. Over the line goes Gardner, knocked away by Perry Miller. Miller knocked Gardner down, the play deep in the Detroit zone. Coming up with it now is Saginaw, and he was checked coming across. Make the play with San Laurent. Center ice pass to Nedomansky. A rolling puck, and Burroughs went in and knocked it away from him. Now Burroughs starts back. San Laurent tipped it off his stick. Here's Harper with Nedomansky ahead of him. Nedomansky tipped it over the line. Salming goes back after it. Borje Salming slid it ahead to Gardner. Off to Boutet. It skipped away from him. Half a minute left in the penalties. Play is right at the Detroit blue line. The Wings lead by 2, 4-2, with 8.5 minutes to play in the third period. Reed Larson, it bounced off him, back to the Toronto blue line. Burroughs hands it off to Salming again. Borje Salming clearing it into the Detroit zone. Reed Larson sent it back out center ice. It bounced off the boards all the way into the Toronto zone. Paul Matier came out, played it away from everybody. Reed Larson has it. Larson's pass, and right to Salming, now to Gardner. Here's Gardner trying to go through, and Miller stopped him, and now the Wings move back out, 2-on-1. McCourt over the line with Larson trailing. Here's Dale McCourt. His pass didn't get through, and it goes to the corner with Burroughs in after it. Dave Burroughs circling around Paul Matier. Played it out center ice. Teams are back at full strength. Puck bounced back into the Toronto end with Boutet back after it. 7:45 to play in the hockey game, 4-2 Detroit. J.P. LeBlanc just missed picking it up. Now Anderson hands it off to Gardner, and Gardner flips it off to the side of the Detroit goal. Rutherford dropping it there for Larson. Reed Larson carrying it to center ice. Now Larson drilled the long shot. Paul Matier deflects that away. John Anderson goes in after it. In behind his own goal. The Leafs in control, moving out of their own zone. Now Anderson carrying to the Detroit blue line, trying to cut through, and coming back. J.P. LeBlanc stopped him with the help of Huber. Bolduc dropped it back of his net, going after it. Tommy Bergman now to Willie Huber. Here's Huber ahead, just too far for Bolduc. It slides into the Toronto zone. Hutchinson in after it. Now Hutchinson down the right side, and Paul Woods knocked it away from him. Darryl Sittler turns at his own line. 7 minutes to play, third period. Sittler checked right there by Tommy Bergman. Puck picked up by J.P. LeBlanc, who whips it back into the Toronto zone as the Wings go for the player change. Turnbull circles again in behind Paul Matier and heads out once more. Now Turnbull ahead to Sittler. Sittler played it into the Detroit zone, and Errol Thompson comes back after, turning away from McDonald's check. Sent it to the line, but not out. Right out in front. Oh, and McDonald was open and just missed it. Still the play in the Detroit zone. Out in front of the Detroit net, Tommy Bergman has knocked Sittler down. There'll be a penalty coming up to the Wings, and Toronto will have the extra man. While Tommy Bergman goes in, we pause for this message.
Isn't it incredible how your tableware seems to disappear? No matter how often you replace it, there's never enough to match your go-around. Now at Bank of the Commonwealth, when you put money into your savings, you can put Oneida Stainless on your table. So you collect Oneida, and your money collects interest, trying hardest to help. That's the Bank of the Commonwealth.
Deposit this at the bank, Beecham. We'll need another place setting for the ambassador.
Yes, madam.
Our guests receive a gift certificate for a pair of Clark shoes or boots from Sherman Shoe Stores in Birmingham, Somerset Mall, Fairlane, and Lakeside Centers, and 12 Oaks, Novi.
Big Tommy Bergman sitting in the penalty box. The Wings, on that occasion, the penalty was probably caused in the fact that Willie Huber broke his stick over in the corner and was playing without a stick, and Tommy just actually pushed a player to get him out of the way. Got a high sticking penalty, 13:38. Big penalty for the Wings to try to get over now.
I would think there might be a little noise in Chicago Stadium tonight, Sid.
Well, it's funny. We had a score 4-1 earlier. Now I get a slip saying New York Rangers 5, Chicago nothing in the third period. Buffalo are leading Colorado 1-0, and the other score we had was Washington and Pittsburgh 2-2.
And the Hawks have lost 6 in a row and are down at least 4 or 5 goals. At home tonight to the New York Rangers. Now the play in the corner, deep in the Detroit zone. The puck held to the boards, face off to the left of the Red Wing goal.
You have to give this Red Wing Hockey Club a lot of credit. They come in here with injuries to key personnel, brought up Steve Short from Kansas City and Big John Hillworth. They have J.P. LeBlanc, who has played very strong for them in the past couple of weeks, but he's up here under an emergency for injuries, and here they are with 6 minutes to go, or 6 minutes 9 seconds, with a 4-2 lead.
Tommy Bergman went off for high sticking at 13 minutes and 38 seconds. He has still 1:47 in his penalty time. That quick shot knocked away, and on the rebound, Rutherford the save. And that puck is grabbed by Rutherford. He's down on top of it right in front of the goal line, and what a move he made there.
That's what you call goaltending. He just is unbelievable lately. He makes the save. The rebound comes out. Watch how he smothers the play out in front. Now he gets over. Oh, the puck was pushed over to him. He was flat on his back, but he held his ground.
So the face-off will stay to the left side of the Detroit goal. The big board up here shows the Rangers 5-1. So Chicago does have the 1 goal.
Colorado has come back and scored a goal against Buffalo. It is now 1-1 in the second period. Wolf Tamont scored for Colorado.
Face-off to the left of the Detroit net. Dale McCourt in against McDonald. Lanny McDonald wins the draw. Here's Turnbull. Turnbull put it out in front. That tipped away. Sittler digs it out of the corner. He ran into Perry Miller, or Miller into him. Miller kneeling on the puck. Sittler digging away at it. And they play whistle down. Face off again to the left side of Rutherford. They used up 30 seconds of the penalty time. 1.5 minutes left. The Red Wings and the Boston Bruins at the Boston Gardens next Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock telecast time. Win, lose, or draw, this Red Wing team as of recent days has surprised a lot of hockey teams. Montreal, Toronto, St. Louis, Chicago. Reed Larson pulled down, and the play sent back into the Toronto zone. Bobby Crom was up on the Detroit bench. Now here's Turnbull, handing it out on the right side to Salming. Turnbull, Ian Turnbull over the Detroit line, trying to work around Larson. Turnbull sending it back now to Sittler. Sittler in the corner. Back to Salming, back to Sittler. Sittler took the shot. The save made by Rutherford. He has it with Lanny McDonald right there on the doorstep.
And Jimmy Rutherford didn't give up the rebound there with the fellow sitting right on the doorstep. This is a case where there's 2 of them there, but Jimmy Rutherford grabbed a hold of it with his glove and stopped any chance for a rebound. We might mention, too, Bruce, the junior wings start their semifinal playoff against the Wayne Chiefs at St. Clair on Sunday, the 25th of March, 7 o'clock. Interesting hockey in the juniors this Sunday.
1 minute remaining in the penalty time to Detroit's Tommy Bergman. Face-off still deep in the Detroit end. McDonald in against Dale McCourt. Now Perry Miller moves in behind his own net and lifts it down the ice. It skips away from Salming, goes the length of the Toronto Maple Leaf ice, and back after it, Salming. 45 seconds left in the penalty now as Salming heads out. Morier Salming to center ice. Toronto trailing by 2. They have the extra man. Here's Lanny McDonald. He dropped it right onto the stick of Dale McCourt, and McCourt shoots it all the way back into the Toronto zone. Paul Mateer handling it, clearing it ahead now to Gardner. Paul Gardner. Gardner moving out. His pass way out in front of Sittler. Back after it, Harper. Harper cleared it in behind his own goal, dumped it along the board. Saint Laurent is there. Turnbull bumped him, then Harper picked it up and shoots it back into the Toronto end. 15 seconds left in Tommy Bergman's penalty. Paul Mateer lost control in his own zone, and Salming moved back to help him out. Turnbull's pass tipped out to center ice. McDonald has it there. Back into the Detroit zone. It's J.P. LeBlanc that stopped that and lifts it back on. Penalty is over now, and Bergman's back on. The Wings did a good job of killing off the Toronto power play. Now here's Sittler. Sittler's pass to Gardner. Gardner took the shot. The save made by Rutherford, and the puck bounced off to the side of the net. Goes in behind the goal. That's Gardner with it, number 18. He put it right out in front, but Saint Laurent is there. Saint Laurent moves it back down the ice. At center ice, he was upended. Harper has it. Saint Laurent, though, is kneeling on it, and that'll stop the play with 3 minutes, 56 seconds to go. We'll be back in just a moment.
Here, water, please. I'd rather done it. Burners?
No matter what else you got, don't get caught with your burners down.
When thirst threatens to get the best of you, nothing can replace Burners' mysteriously refreshing taste.
Don't get caught with your burners down, old boy.
Just a touch less than 4 minutes to play. Detroit 4, Toronto 2. We are in the third period of the game from here at Maple Leaf Gardens, Toronto. This is Quenneville bringing the play out to center ice. A long shot into the corner, but the play offside, and it'll come right back to the center ice zone. Well, it's been quite an experience for Jimmy Rutherford over the last 2-3 weeks. Jimmy playing his 10th straight game tonight, and in his last 11 games, make it his last 10 games, he has won 6, lost 2, tied 2. And the Wings in their last 6 games are undefeated. In their last 4, they've won them all. This one is not yet over. About 3.5 minutes to go. Errol Thompson moving in, tried to work around Burroughs, and it's McKechnie who takes it. Walter McKechnie heading back. Now McKechnie playing it off to the side of the net. Rutherford tipped it away. Carroll played it ahead now to Errol Thompson. Thompson in the corner to Willie Huber. Over on the right side to San Leroy. Didn't get it out. Kept in by Quenneville. Here's Quenneville with a shot, and Rutherford knocked that away. And the Wings, Tommy Bergman slides it and rolls it back into the Toronto zone. Coming out with it now, Burroughs. He fired it in behind the Detroit goal. Rutherford stops it there. Cleared it to the corner. Dan Maloney has it. Now that's McKechnie. McKechnie goes into the corner with Willie Huber. It bounced toward the line. Dale McCourt tipped it. And it slides again into the Toronto end with 2 minutes and 50 seconds now to play. And a wholesale player change for Detroit. Now Quenneville back into the Detroit zone with a shot. Rutherford the save, and Larson lifts the rebound out again to center ice. Back after it is Burroughs. Burroughs' pass broken up by Nedomansky. He and McCourt moving in. Dale McCourt. And he was tied up by Quenneville. Now coming back is Sittler. Darryl Sittler moving to the Detroit blue line. He dumped the puck right to Jimmy Rutherford. He's going to hold on to it. And we have 2:23 to go in the third period. Hey, fans, stop in at any Parts Plus Auto store and fill out a coupon for a Fan Appreciation Award of 2 box seats at the March 31st Red Wings versus Los Angeles. On each televised game, Parts Plus will present this Fan Appreciation Award during the Parts Plus post-game show.
Here's a rarity in hockey, Bruce. In the third period, Minnesota 6, Philadelphia 2, and there have been 2 hat tricks. Fiddler for Minnesota and Kane for Minnesota.
Game being played at Minnesota. Puck bounced again right up into the crowd. Flipped up there, so the face-off will come back into the Detroit end. And now time, ever so important, as the Wings lead by 2, 4-2, with 2 minutes and 19 seconds to play. Third period. Dale McCourt with Nedomansky and Danny LeBratton, the forward line of the Wings, Perry Miller and Reed Larson. We haven't seen Steve Short here in the third period. Very little of Hillworth. That puck knocked down out in front. Sittner took the shot, deflected wide. Now Reed Larson over on the left side. LeBratton couldn't get it out. Then he bowled his man over. It's kept in, though. Out in front, John Anderson, and he shot it wide as Rutherford came out to cut the angle. Now here's Nedomansky. He flipped it, not out. It's kept in. Here's Anderson again, a backhander, and Rutherford kicked that away. And it's sent out center ice by Dale McCourt and slides to the Toronto zone with 1:50 to go. And the Leafs pressing. Nedomansky bumped his man Salming in along the boards. The puck came loose to Sittler. Darryl Sittler. He tried to center it, broken up by Perry Miller, who skates it out, and 3 of the Wings move up. Here's Miller over the line. Perry Miller. He put it right up. Paul Woods in front, but Turnbull came back to stop that. Wings a little careless of moving too many people in right now toward this portion of the hockey game, but Nedomansky's the guy that came back. He handed it off now to Reed Larson, 1:20. Here's Larson. Wings changing again. They've got more of the defensive unit out there now with Woods and J.P. LeBlanc. Coming out now is Salming. J.P. LeBlanc was dumped by Paul Matier, came back and gave him a whack. Here's Boutet putting it out in front, and Tommy Bergman stopped that. And now it's J.P. LeBlanc coming out center ice. He's got Bolduc on the right side. The pass to Danny Bolduc. Bolduc doesn't shoot, tried to hand it off to Woods. Boutet checked him. Here's Woods going into the corner after it, knocked away from him by Sittler. 45 seconds to play in the hockey game, 4-2 Detroit. That's Turnbull. Turnbull taking it into the Detroit zone. He was stopped by Willie Huber. Huber hit the linesman, but the puck came out center ice. Now Hutchinson. Gardner clearing it in behind the Detroit goal. Jimmy Rutherford hands it there to Willie Huber. Bolduc. Bolduc on the right side. Brings it out center ice with 25 seconds remaining. Bolduc clearing it into the Toronto zone. And it'll be Hutchinson going in to get it with 20 seconds remaining. Now Hutchinson dumping it into the Detroit zone. Rutherford again out of the goal. Playing it in toward the corner. It was knocked down by Lanny McDonald. Stopped by Turnbull with a shot. And the save made. The puck loose, and it goes to the corner. LeBlanc in after it with just 2 seconds remaining. LeBlanc shoots it down the ice, and that's all she wrote. As the buzzer goes to end the hockey game, and the Red Wings have now won 5 in a row. They've gone 7 games without a loss. And now on the road, believe it or not, have won 8, or rather won 6, lost 2, and tied 1 in their last 9. The end of the game, the final score, Detroit 4, Toronto 2. Will be back to Maple Leaf Gardens in just a moment.
Will the owner of the AMC Concorde please move it?
My Concorde.
Why is American Motors Concorde such a success? Value. Because the AMC Concorde DL is a compact that comes with its luxury extras at no extra charge. Luxuries like a Landau roof, crushed velour seats, digital clock, and a smooth, quiet ride. 1979 AMC Concorde, the new American success story.
See all the new AMC cars for $79 at your Metro Detroit AMC dealers.
So we are back here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, where the Detroit Red Wings have skated off with a 4-2 victory. And, boy, I tell you, it's hard to believe, but these Wings are just going in every place lately and coming out with victories. They are just about to announce the 3 stars of the hockey game, so we'll stick around and watch those. But Detroit got a first-period goal by Reed Larson on the power play. Gardner tied it up early in the second period. Turnbull with a power play goal for Toronto. The Leafs led it 2-1. Dale McCourt got it back on a power play for the Wings, and a 2-2 tie, the end of the second period. And in the third period, Danny LeBratton still another power play goal. Wings led it 3-2, and Bolduc, the fourth goal at 9:25 as Dale McCord is selected as the first star of this hockey game. Mike Palmatier comes out as the second star of the game, and he played a good, solid hockey game for Toronto. And Jimmy Rutherford, the number 3 star of the hockey game. And Jimmy, as we said a little while ago, is getting kind of used to taking his balls. So that's it. Again, the final score, Red Wings 4, Toronto Maple Leafs 2. Sid and I will be back with you live from Maple Leaf Gardens in just a moment.
I'm accustomed to riding around in Cadillacs. So why am I in this AMC Pacer wagon instead of a Cadillac? Well, this Pacer is not only quite luxurious and handles so easily, but it also has an astounding amount of room. Did you know that the AMC Pacer is just about as wide as a Cadillac? So it feels like a big car, even though it isn't. And I feel like I'm in a big car, even though I'm not.
AMC Pacer feels like a big car, but it isn't.
Little Caesar's Pizza, tastiest in town. A winner anyway you slice it, all the way around. The carry-outs are good and hot, great for nighttime snacks. Or sit down at Little Caesar's, just order and relax. If you want variety, there's a family in for you. It's a winner, come in and see Little Caesar's Pizza.
See your local TV book for a free pizza coupon.
Yeah, the banks are all alike. They say they want to help, but where are they when you need them? When I needed help, they told me that I didn't have enough of my money to get any of their money.
Sure, you guys have been banking with the wrong banks. The Bank of the Commonwealth, they helped me send my kid through college. Braces for my daughter's teeth. My wife's car. In fact, I get so much help from my bank, my family thinks I'm made of money.
Here, let's see you make this into money.
Trying hardest to help. That's the Bank of the Commonwealth.
Just like my family.
Leaving your glasses in the wrong place can be a costly mistake, unless you buy your glasses at DOC. Announcing Detroit Optometric Center's eyeglass breakage guarantee. If your glasses should break, for any reason, within 1 year from date of purchase, bring them back and we'll replace or repair them at no charge. Detroit Optometric Center's eyeglass breakage guarantee. Taking the worry out of paying for broken glasses. Even if they don't taste good.
Sid Abel, if you ask me for an explanation as to why the Detroit Red Wings, who hadn't won a game away from home in 23 and hadn't won many at home either in that time period, have come through now and played the type of hockey we've watched over the last 3 weeks, I have no explanation at all outside of maybe a change in goal.
Change in goal certainly helped, but I believe they are playing Bobby Crom's system. They're not getting flustered up through center ice. They're making plays back to their defensemen and then moving the puck in. And, Bruce, I think the defensemen are all playing terrific hockey now. It just seems that Perry Miller's come on real strong. Willie Huber has played pretty well all season long for a rookie. Big Tommy Bergman played a strong game tonight. Terry Harper played a strong game. And the kids they brought up from Kansas City didn't hurt them.
And they did the job they were supposed to do.
Right.
They didn't let Toronto rough them up too much in the first period, and from that point on, the Wings just kind of took over. Let's real quickly tell you, in the last 7 games, the Red Wings a couple of weeks ago lost to the Minnesota North Stars at Minnesota. Since that time, they tied Washington. They went into Montreal, played a 3-3 tie with the Canadiens. Then they went into Washington, beat the Capitals 4-1, went into St. Louis, whipped them 3-1, went into Chicago, surprised them, beat them 4-2, came home last night, beat Chicago 5-3, came into Toronto here, and I think the Leafs were looking for an easy 2 points, and beat Toronto by a score of 4-2, and they outplayed the Leafs. It was no fluke victory.
No, they won it fair and square, and were the better hockey club of the two, and here's the payoff. The Leafs were the rested hockey club. Detroit played yesterday. Roger Nielsen, their coach, was over to see the game, actually to scout the game, so he'd know how Bobby Crom was playing his lines. But the Wings come in here, and they did play a solid game of hockey, checked them into the ice, scored their goals, and played a sound hockey game all night long.
Well, we'll have an opportunity to talk a little bit more about it in just a moment. The final score here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, the Red Wings 4, the Toronto Maple Leafs 2. We invite you to join us next Saturday afternoon at the Boston Gardens. The time will be, the telecast will be 1 o'clock when the Red Wings meet the Boston Bruins. This is Bruce Martin along with Sid Abel saying, stay tuned now for our post-game show.
A full hour of comedy with 2 of television's funniest shows are on TV 50 tomorrow night.
She's your sister-in-law. That don't make no difference. Her face is wanted in 3 continents for indecent exposure.
Red Fox is king of the junkyards, and Bob Newhart is patient with Patience and Friends.
Here they are, the 3 Stooges.
Sanford and Son at 7, and Bob Newhart at 7:30 make an hour of entertainment tomorrow night on TV 50.
New York, where you would save hundreds of dollars if you could buy diamonds direct from the cutters. Well, now you can. Buy direct from the New York Diamond Cutting Company, the Diamond Cutters, and save up to 60% on your diamond.
Now, a 1.20 carat pear-shaped diamond is just $725. Save at the New York Diamond Cutting Company. Call today.
Call our Southfield sales office now for your appointment. 1 hour of your time could save you hundreds of dollars.
The post-game show is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Coke adds life to Red Wing hockey. And by Parts Plus, automotive name brands you can trust.
Give me a smile with everything on it, and I'll pass it on. So give me a Coke when you smile, and I promise to pass it along. I'm gonna pass it along. The world needs a break when it's tired and thirsty. Coke and a smile is how it should be. Coke adds life. Coca-Cola adds life.
Well, we're happy to announce that Francis Nagy of Garden City, Michigan, went into the Save-On Auto Parts store, filled out a coupon, and been picked as the winner of 2 box seats for the April 1st game against the Minnesota North Stars. Sid, it's strange how hockey games go. In the first period of this game, the Wings completely outplayed Toronto, outshot them 12-5, and yet Reed Larson's power play goal, the only goal scored. Second period, the Wings outshot Toronto 14-10 and played right with them, but the Leafs scored 2 goals. The Wings won. It was 2-2. Third period, Toronto came on, outshot the Wings 19-10, but Detroit scored the only 2 goals, and you give a lot of credit there to a young man named Jimmy Rutherford.
Well, Jimmy Rutherford is playing with all the confidence in the world, Bruce. He is so loose and free around the net. He is coming out and making plays on the puck that bounce off the backboard, holding it until just a split second before, say, a Toronto player could get to it, then flip it in the corner to his own defenseman. The Wings are not making mistakes. They are playing so solid in their own zone, it's just a joy to watch. You know, after going through 23 games with them where they couldn't win, this seems unbelievable to sit up here night after night now and be with a winner.
The overall shots on goal, which I imagine are interested in, is Detroit 36, and the Toronto Maple Leafs 34. Well, the Wings move right out of one hot spot for hockey, the Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens, which we said has been a tough rink for them to play in, and come right into another one. I think perhaps even tougher, and I speak of the Boston Gardens, which will be our next telecast next Saturday afternoon. Boston, with that smaller rink, it's tough.
Yes, and they're a very physical team. So Detroit, if Hillworth and Short and some of these bigger fellows stay up, possibly can be physical with them. But it will be a physical hockey game.
I rather doubt, I've no way to prove it, that they will be here, though, because Kansas City, from whence they came, is involved in playoffs, and they're very important to them. Well, Sid has picked his Red Wing star of this hockey game. We'll be back with that after we pause now for this.
Saturday night, go downtown, see the sights, girls and pinball, broken bright lights. Wish every day was Saturday night. Coca-Cola at light when the lights are bright. Wish every day was Saturday night. Coke at light, Coca-Cola at light.
Parts Plus, the sign of quality parts, competitively priced, plus the kind of service you can count on. Why do you buy from Parts Plus?
Well, there when I want them with the parts I need.
Quality. With Parts Plus, I know I'm getting the best.
We've got a wide selection of hard-to-find parts. We get the answers that help us do it right.
Look for auto stores displaying this sign. Parts Plus, for automotive name brands you trust.
Sid, there were a few telecasts this season when it came time for you to pick a Red Wing star of the game that I had no envy for you whatsoever because it was a tough job. Nobody played well enough to be a star. Tonight, I would say it's just the opposite. You could look to half a dozen or so.
Oh, definitely. From the goaltender out, all the defensemen could be picked tonight. They played such a strong game. But I went to a forward that, as of late, I think has come on real strong, Dale McCourt. Dale McCourt scored the second goal for the Wings to tie the game when Toronto had taken the lead 2-1. He assisted on the first goal. Then he come back and made a beautiful play to Danny LeBratton for the third goal, which turned out to be the winner. All in all, he killed penalties with Paul Woods, did a remarkable job all night long, and he is my star of the game.
Okay, so for being Sid's Red Wing star of the game, Dale McCourt receives an ice chest full of Coke from the Coca-Cola Bottling Company. And so the Wings on to Boston now for the game Saturday afternoon, our next telecast. And don't forget Sunday afternoon, the same two teams you saw here tonight, Toronto and the Red Wings, renew festivities at Olympia Stadium in Detroit. We'll be with you on radio on that one, Sid and myself, at 10 minutes before 4 o'clock. Till then, this is Bruce Martin along with Sid Abel saying goodbye from Maple Leaf Gardens, Toronto.
The post-game show was brought to you by Coca-Cola. Coke adds life to Red Wing hockey. And by Parts Plus, automotive name brands you can trust. Detroit Red Wing Hockey was brought to you by your AMC and Jeep dealers, home of the Jeep CJs, Cherokee, Wagoneer, and AMC cars. And by Labatt's. For beer at its finest, call for Labatt's. And by Bank of the Commonwealth, trying hardest to help. And by Little Caesars, a winner any way you slice it.